Hello, everybody. Sorry, time management, just poor time management. So I'm eating, and then I'm gonna start. And I forgot to switch myself to the opening stuff. Hello, Heisenflay. Hello, Nerds Like Us. Bible Dump Podcast. What's up? Tone, how you doing? Bianca, hello. The Real Thing, a friend of. PJ, what's up? And Olawale is here as well. Olawale can't wait for this. I know he's itching for this. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought I had the 30 seconds to finish my sandwich, but I forgot. Thank you, friend. Right. It's a long one, so let's get into it immediately. So, Brittany Simon, I hope I'm saying that correctly, went vegan for 30 days. We're gonna calmly and politely react to this. You know, hold on. God damn it. See, I'm still not ready. There you go. I think right off the bat, we have to say that I think Brittany means that she went plant-based, fully plant-based, for 30 days. It's just a misconception that exists in our world that veganism is a vegan diet, right? And doesn't have a lot to do with the actual subject of the matter, which is ethics of animal rights. In my opinion, other vegans have slightly differing opinions, but all of them are about animals in some capacity and not about a diet. But we'll see. Maybe she did adopt ethics for 30 days and then switched back shortly after. We'll see.
For the last 30 days, I have gone vegan. Right off the back of doing a 30-day vegetarian challenge, I didn't have meat for about 60 days, which was the longest I'd ever gone without eating meat. As a girl who, used to do her own beef jerky, whose brother had a farm and would slaughter animals and eat them same day, as a person who ate meat her whole life and was kind of defined by it, going 60 days without having meat was a huge change. But there were so many positives, and I had a really great time doing it, and I cooked a lot of really great food. So I want to talk about how...
So amazing, but my suspicions were correct that she's talking about the diet. That's okay, it's not her fault. That's what societally is used when talking about a fully plant-based diet. Some people would argue, of course, it's a vegan diet.
It impacted me budget-wise, health-wise, I have fibromyalgia, autism-wise, I'm autistic, and of course, the ethics around veganism and meat consumption. Since this is...
Yeah, but how do you adopt ethics for 30 days? How do you say, I'm gonna try ethics for 30 days? So, but I'm glad she's talking about it, so that's amazing. Let's go back to being incredibly charitable.
As a philosophy channel, of course, we're going to have to talk about the ethics and morals. And of course, sometimes comment sections on these types of videos can be very controversial. So please keep it kind and compassionate. And remember that food is very personal. And yet we have to consider the impact we are making on each other because we live in a community. I want to start...
Unless she includes animals in each other, I don't see how any of what she said in the last 1 second applies to veganism, but we'll see.
off with the basics. So like the budget. How did that go? How did I feel about it? I often hear that veganism is hard because of the cost, but I found it to be just as doable as a meat-centered diet. So I spend 50 euro a week. I live in Croatia. I'm married a Croatian. For those of you who don't know, but I'm from America, we spend individually 50 euro a week on our food consumption. And this, of course, takes into account calories and health. We want.
How does she spend the same amount as her husband? How does that happen? Looks like a big dude. Supposedly, I don't know, bigger people eat more. I guess maybe she's rounding it down. Something.
Want to be focused on meeting those, calorie goals, those health goals.
Yeah, having your throat cut is pretty personal to the victims as well. Yeah, listen, on one hand, I understand even if she adopted ethics, which I think we know she didn't because she did a few live streams afterwards, which I didn't watch, so I can't say. But people say that she did not adopt the ethics. That's why I'm kind of letting it taint my response here. But I think that's reasonable, right? She's put it out there. She's a YouTuber. So saying that, like, talking about ethics, saying about the ethics, but then rounding it down to food is incredibly personal. It's a little weird to us vegans who are used to listening to this stuff and cringe, because we're thinking more of the victims than anybody else.
Especially since I'm chronically ill, we always...
Yeah, she could have a short husband, yes.
Want to make sure that we're eating well. Everything came out delicious, but I think that's because I know how to cook. I realized that because Croatia...
I mean, that's just true about everything. Like, if you know how to cook, everything is going to be tasty. If you don't know how to cook, it's not going to be tasty. I ate disgusting meats in my life before going vegan. Couldn't cook to save my own life, literally.
Croatia doesn't have a lot of options like vegan cheese and vegan burgers and vegan things. Though there are places that have them, they weren't as accessible to me in my location. I realized that this, I think, is the discrepancy when people say veganism is expensive, because if I was in America and I was buying Beyond Meat and vegan cheese and all of these things, then I think my budget wouldn't be able to hold off that 50 euro.
I mean, fair, but then you would save on other stuff. But fair, totally fair. I think when people say veganism is expensive, they're thinking specifically about the convenience foods, which supposedly, I don't know, I think maybe, I don't know, I'm making a claim that I don't have evidence for, but maybe you have to reduce the amount of convenience foods that you buy because the subsidies are not on the side. You have subsidies for dairy and beef and chicken and all those things that are luxury foods, right? But they are kept cheaper by the fact that farmers get subsidized for the feed, the land, all the grants that they get, and Beyond Meat doesn't get that. So people look at the Beyond Meat patty and say, shit, I can buy a burger patty for less than that. Why would I even bother? So now we're in a situation where you just kind of have to, maybe, if you go in vegan, to reduce convenience foods to remain on a budget, because cheese is 4 times more expensive. Vegan cheese is more expensive than regular equivalent cheese here where I am. So I mean, yeah, I think it's a good point she's making. It's fair. Tell me what you think, guys. 15 euros a week, you just say that, yeah, 50 euros a week. Is that a lot, do you think, Dawn? I don't know. In Croatia, is Croatia expensive? I don't know. Is it cheap? I have no idea. You can order anything online. Well, the budget would then be broken, I think, in order like us. I don't know.
I also think that because I can cook, for me, nothing really changed. I already was cooking my food. I'm a Syrian. My parents are immigrants.
Tom says I'm 25 euros a week, and it still includes some processed junk. Yeah, I would say, like, right now I'm kind of, less cognizant of my budget, but in the past, my budget was like 60% of people around me, at least, right? It was tiny, and that included takeaway once a week. It included very little junk food, frankly, because I don't know, I'm a bit of a whole food plant-based cringe lord. That's what I am. For Germany, it's cheap, but for Croatia, it might be expensive. Yeah, we don't know. I don't know how much food costs there. Yeah. 50 euros. But it doesn't even matter. She says she's switched diet, but stayed within a budget. So
we were raised in a household that cooked constantly. Cooking is like my me time. I really love it. So vegan cooking was really easy and really great. The only issue that came up because of that inaccessibility to vegan products were things that maybe people don't think about as accessible or not accessible, like tofu. I ran out of tofu. Basically halfway through my experiment of doing my challenge, my local store ran out of tofu. And that became very...
Shit. No, that's a fucking emergency then, Yeah. How do you run out of tofu and don't lose your mind? Holy shit. Tone, let us know what tofu you ate today.
Very frustrating, and even today I really wanted tofu and I couldn't get any, and that was really frustrating, but I was able to...
You see, after you start eating tofu for a while, it kind of becomes irreplaceable. I think for the first 4 years of being vegan, I didn't eat tofu. I didn't like it. And then I, started cooking it like thinner, and then it like kind of absorbed more flavor and shit. And now I can fucking eat it raw out of the package. Fucking amazing. Now today, macaroni and cheese and baked sprouts. Oof, sounds cool. I tried tempeh for the first time yesterday. I have some in the freezer, but I don't know. I'm always hesitant when I have it. I don't know. I like it. When I eat it, I like it. But I'm hesitant to cook with it because I kind of don't know what to do with tempeh. That can happen in Germany, okay, maybe the local store, but for a day or two most. Yeah, same here. There are like several... not a vertical. I'm so sorry, Elliot Davis. It's just a decision that I made. That's what we're doing today. But yeah, running out of tofu is not something that happens here either. So I don't know. Here I mean on Mars, of course, because I'm a Martian apparently.
To find other ways to eat, right? I'm not dependent on tofu. I just think that if you think to yourself,
I am dependent on tofu. I didn't buy tofu. That's such a mistake. Sorry. You get tofu here, even in the remotest rural countryside store. Yeah, probably. It's a fucking amazing product. Can't you do both vertical and horizontal? No, that didn't work. It's just how it is, Elliot. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I just have to adjust.
Oh, tofu's a staple and it's so easy and accessible. Yes, in some places. But the fact that my local store doesn't have any, and the fact that I would have to take a bus ride to get tofu alone, like that's not cost effective. I'm not going to get on a bus and spend an hour doing a round trip just...
I don't know. I don't, right? I go to the store physically, but I think like most people these days, they just order online. Ordering online is not that much expensive. I've done it once when I was isolated for COVID, and it wasn't horrific. It wasn't like too much. And if you order like, I don't know, tofu doesn't go bad too much. If you order a bunch of that stuff, let it sit in your fridge, it's fine.
For tofu, I'm gonna find different meals to make, different recipes, and there's always this like privileged conversation that comes about when we talk about the privilege of veganism.
I always get comments like, you're vegan, that's so privileged, that's so privileged.
I don't know how people say that. Before I went vegan, all the vegans that I've ever met were fucking dirt poor. The poorest people from the LGBTQ community usually, right, were the people who were vegan around me. And as I said, like at some point I kind of wrote down everything I bought for like 2 months or 3 months, and then I ratioed it, and it was like 60% of other people's, my friends' food haul. Spending 60% of everybody else's food haul is fucking privileged? What the fuck? I don't understand when people say this. What the fuck do they mean? Do they just mean because like the Whole Food store is or something like that is more expensive? Don't understand this shit. Hold on, there's a bit of a ruckus outside. Much better. All right. I hear that constantly, but I spend less money as a vegan. Same. Well, I don't know now. Now, I don't know, because I changed a bunch of stuff. It might be 80% now or something like that. Or might be 100% of other people's food haul. Also, the food became like more expensive, generally speaking, right? But once in a while, I go to the store and I wander into the deaf aisle, and the deaf aisle is fucking expensive. Like, I understand, like, the vegetarian food is cheaper, right? Eggs, not in America, but generally are, like, cheaper than tofu, which I think is a good replacement for eggs. I don't know, milk is cheaper, like half the price of vegan milks. But the other stuff are cheaper. The other stuff on the dry stuff shelves, right? So it balances out and even puts me in a place where I spend less money on food. So I really don't understand this. Literally, I think, I don't know, it's one of those, I don't want to be a conspiratorial or whatever, but it's like, it's not a conspiracy, it's a real thing. Like the meat lobby, I think maybe it's like a myth from the meat lobby, that the meat lobby spat out. So now we have to deal with this stupid shit. Oh my God. It is because they're the only vegans people encounter are celebs on TV, maybe. Eggs are $1 billion or something right now in the USA, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, am I missing something? Like, isn't the whole point of having any kind of privilege that you use it to do something positive?
Plant-based in particular is a diet for the privileged people.
Fuck you, I was fucking dirt poor. I was so poor when I went vegan that I couldn't afford to not work in a carnist restaurant. I had to continue to work in a carnist restaurant for a couple of years because I literally had like so little money. I mean, I could afford, like, I wasn't poor, but I would have could afford rent, food, utilities, and that's it. I had no extra income. I still don't have a house. I still don't have a car. Nobody's talking about that shit, right? Take public transportation and still work. Like, what the fuck kind of privilege do I have that's like this lady in Croatia doesn't have? I don't get it. I'm considered poor for German status. Yeah, I hope they get even more expensive. Talking about the eggs. Yeah.
Who can choose to do so. I can choose to do it. You can choose to do it. If you are Mrs. Smith, working 2 minimum wage jobs, okay, in this country, trying to feed your kids, are you really going to be concerned with your pulses and making sure the supplements are right to actually feed your kids so they can have a vegan diet? No, you want to feed your kids.
I mean, this is arguably somebody who has 2 jobs. Their kids are going to have poor nutrition either fucking way. And, you know, they're not going to be concerned with taking supplements either fucking way. The kids should be taking fucking supplements, and they probably aren't. So yes, I agree, there are people that are so poor that have to work so much. They don't have time for anything. They don't have time for morality, for cooking, for nutrition, not anything. Their kids are gonna have disadvantages either fucking way. So it's kind of stupid to point at the poorest people on earth and say, well, they can't be vegan. Well, you can. Are you vegan, sir? I don't know. I don't think so, probably by the way they're speaking about this. Oh, I'm getting annoyed. Okay. Well, I guess. Let's continue. Jesus.
Kids.
And this is a philosophy channel, so stay with me here. I think introspection is a privilege in a sense, and it doesn't come from having money. It comes from
I mean, yeah, agree. Again, it's one of those things that if you work two jobs, I actually made this exact point a few months ago when I was on Brandon's channel. If you work two jobs and like barely see your kids or whatever, introspection of anything is gonna be a privilege. But why are we taking the poorest people on earth and like modeling ourselves, going, well, the poorest people can't do this shit? So, you know, fuck it. I'm not gonna do it either. Mrs. Smith can do it too, but it might be harder for her because the frozen Omni cheese pizzas are cheap as fuck. Yeah, and the introspection things, again, I made this point. But as you said, Bianca, using poor people as a shield is like stupid. And as I understand, she used the Inuit people as a shield as well at some point. Like, why? Why are we doing this? Why are you pointing? Like, if food is personal, right? If those decisions, if introspection is personal, then talk for yourself. Why the fuck are you talking about the people who have it the hardest? And by the way, again, the vegans I've met in my life are the poorest people on fucking that I've ever met. Seriously. There's something about being poor that actually gives you this new perspective on it. If you are not so poor that you literally don't have time for introspection. I agree there, frankly. That's all I was trying to say, yeah? And just don't understand why we keep using those poor people like as a justification for anything.
having time, awareness, and curiosity. And I think veganism is a philosophy first and foremost, and to have the time to dissect
Thank the fuck.
this philosophy and read all the papers and watch the documentaries and read, that is a lot.
I went vegan without any of that stuff. Literally none of that stuff. Never even saw slaughterhouse footage before going vegan. I knew about veganism, right? From the poor people that I've met. From all the people that once in a while were just... But like, if I have to point out the important moments that like were like screaming in my head as I was going vegan in those seconds, it was all from non-vegan people. So like, no. You don't need all that stuff to have introspection about your actions. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Lot of energy going into this one subject matter while you still have to work and take your kids to school and do all these other things, and while the administration is burning down America. Like, a lot of things are really stressful for us to spend time reading about veganism as a philosophy. And yet I really think the one thing I want to contribute to the world is this philosophical perspective that the best thing you can do for yourself is to be introspective. Self-awareness is great, but without the introspection, right? We have to deconstruct our preconceived notions about right and wrong and what's good for us and the planet. So if you want to contribute good to the world, especially me, I think
but what about the animals? You said it's a fucking philosophy. The philosophy is about animals, and yet this drives me fucking insane, frankly. It's not Brittany's fault, right? This is just something that everybody does. When they talk about veganism, they talk about health in the environment and completely forget to talk about the animals. What the hell are we doing? Are you so, like, when you do your introspection stuff, are you so concerned with yourself and whatever is rolls back on you that you can't consider the actual victims of your actions? You banned in Brittany's chat, Dennis? Why? It's hard to understand for a person first encountering veganism. Yeah, Yeah, but yeah, okay. I was debating someone on a chat who got semi-disrespectful, so I returned the behavior, and she banned me because she thought I said it to her. Well, staying non-disrespectful is a virtue, of which I don't always hold, but not supposedly not banned from any chats, so I don't know.
I owe it to myself to dig into veganism as a philosophy, and so that's what I did. And of course, as I was doing that, I was paying attention to the fact that I had the time to do it, that I could, because I work from home, read up on veganism, watch a bunch of podcasts.
Can we be tricked into going vegan? Let's talk about that.
Hey, it's Mike here, and today a recent British survey found that 2/3 of British men would rather die 10 years earlier than they otherwise would, shave 10 years off their life, than give up meat.
The dietary guidelines make it clear that Americans should eat more fruits and vegetables.
The majority of African Americans are experiencing the worst health outcomes, right? Because of food apartheid in our communities. So if we are living in urban centers where most African Americans live in the United States, unless that area has been gentrified, you're gonna find fast food places, you're gonna find...
So frankly, as an American that lives in Croatia, she doesn't need to know any of that stuff. I don't understand why she's going on a deep dive into other people's lives. I mean, it's nice to know, but it doesn't apply to you, Brittany.
corner stores.
Here's the surprisingly black history of veganism. If you're only meant to picture...
Brittany, pretty sure you look fucking white as fuck. Why are we getting these clips? I don't understand.
Of veganism is white ladies in Lululemon knocking back shots of wheatgrass. Then you're...
Who made this assumption and now is plaguing us with this veganism is for white ladies, veganism is for privileged people? It's like such an opposite thing from who vegans generally are. I don't understand. Literally could be like just something that the meat lobby spat out.
Way off. In fact, you may be surprised to find out that this new veganism trend is actually not that new. And it's
not a fucking trend. And it's not for white people, like exclusively either. Like Corette Scott King is vegan, Dexter Scott King is vegan, and they're vegan as the continuation of their of Martin Luther King's philosophy, right? It's directly related to the Black people rights movement, right? Seriously, I don't know where this is coming from.
It's not all that white either.
It's just like a bunch of people who are not vegan talking about vegans, but then you meet vegans and it's like, what the fuck, right?
In fact, veganism can be traced back over 2,000 years to the ancient cultures in India, the Mediterranean basin, and, drumroll please, Africa. Now, when it comes to a lot of traditional Black American cuisine, you wouldn't be wrong to say that it features, well, a lot of meat. But this hasn't always been the case.
There's always been like this river of African Americans.
I mean, this is very interesting, but why are we watching this in a video about Brittany going vegan for 30 days? I don't understand.
Who've been pioneers in the vegan.
What is Brittany even known for? I don't know. It's the first time I've ever seen this YouTuber. I have no idea. Talking about diet again, not veganism. Absolutely. Like, it's just absolutely, and sorry for using this word, but if somebody can suggest a different one, it's like schizophrenic. She's talking about, oh, I'm diving into philosophy, and then shows clips about the diet. It's spot on tone. I don't understand.
movement. Originally, there were plants and people were eating plants. I mean, that's the natural thing for us to eat. That's what we gravitated towards. That's what looked good to us. That's what our bodies were made to eat. So this is just nothing new.
But this vegan tradition changed when European adventurers, aka colonizers, introduced more commercial farming methods, which produced a lot more animals, but also fewer indigenous crops.
Foods we consumed in the Black community as soul food, it was the food that our ancestors were compelled to eat. All of the food that they had to find creative ways.
Again, incredibly interesting to know. I know all this stuff already, but the fuck? What the fuck does it have to do with you, Brittany? This is not part of a philosophy.
To make it.
I hope she does go into the actual vegan philosophy at some point, because right now it's strawmanning. You're strawmanning the vegan movement.
Tasteful for your palate so that you can stay alive.
While I embrace the term soul food, because to me that was the resilience of my ancestors, but it's processed grains and processed meats and those type of things that are now causing a lot of health problems.
More Black Americans are choosing plants. According to a Pew Research Center survey, 8% of African Americans identify as vegan or vegetarian, compared to just 3% of the general population.
Bruh, we're gonna bring the numbers up a little bit. None of this plant-based shit masquerading as veganism either. Holy fuck. I mean, right now, the people who come out against us, they're fucking winning. Just go on Twitter and in 5 minutes, you'll be inundated with the fucking farmers. They all they do is sit on Twitter.
Many people of color say they switched to
you guys know that's vegan and vegetarian in America. It's 2% globally for vegans. In other places, like in the UK, it's 5% vegans. So it's going to differ, but they were talking about American stats. So again, I don't understand, Brittany. You live in Croatia, what the fuck?
Plant-based diet for the environment, animal rights, and their health.
So I took the golden rule, treat everybody how you want to be treated, and that goes to animals, bugs.
Fucking finally, something about the fucking ethics.
Humans.
I had a lot of uncles and aunties that just died from.
We don't have, Dennis, we don't have like updated statistics as far as I know. We haven't counted in a while, is what I'm saying. There haven't been much of a check for this globally. The stats that we have are outdated. So I don't know. It's about 2%. Maybe a little more, I don't know.
High blood pressure, diabetes.
Yeah, it's in the UK. We know that it grew exponentially. It kind of exploded in the past few years. It's gone to 5%. Yeah.
And most doctors agree, a plant-based lifestyle can improve our health. So that's why many people are veganizing the foods they grew up on and love.
Really enjoy the process of being curious and learning. I think we take for granted that learning is the most privileged part of the vegan journey. And obviously this is an individual journey, so I'm really gonna share, and I'm sharing my personal perspective. It's hard for me to make prescriptions for the world. I think prescriptions are kind of negative in a sense. The road to hell is paved in good intentions, and I don't want to hurt the world with my good intentions. Instead, I want to live by example, and I wanna make sure that I'm living what I think is a good life. And if people think, oh, Brittany's doing this and it looks good for her, maybe I'll try it, that's great. I don't wanna make a prescription to you. Instead, I
mean, does that ever fucking work? I mean, I know that's what people say. I know that's what studies say, but does it ever even fucking work? Leading by example without having the, the conversation, the tackles. I don't know. Journey.
I just want to ask the questions and I want us to have the conversations. I know the subject matter makes people really, really defensive, and it really brings out the...
What's up, Alpha Caros? It's not an anti-vegan word. It's just a word that everybody likes to dog on, frankly. But it's in vegan community, it became like a joke. Because every ex-plant-based person is like, oh, I'm no longer vegan on my journey. But it's not an anti-vegan word. Nobody thinks that.
ugliness in people vegan or meat eaters.
You're a vegan, right? I'm a meat eater.
Yeah, running gag.
Why can't we just both live happily in each other's orbit? Why can't you let me just get on with eating meat and you eat your gruel and we'll all go home happy?
Because we know animal farming and fishing are a leading cause of the climate crisis.
And we know having a strictly vegan diet is bad for you as well.
Well, that's not true.
A lot of science says it's bad for you.
That's not true.
It is true.
What science, Piers? What the fuck? All science leads toward plant-based diets. All science. Well, it leads towards the Mediterranean diet, the very specific Mediterranean diet. Mostly plants, a little bit of fish, a little bit of dairy, that kind of stuff. But the plant-based diet is right there if you supplement. That's how you get more subs, VPM. If she said, I will impose my lifestyle on everyone, watch how fast her followers live. She has to please her non-vegan fan base, but she's not vegan. She didn't go vegan. We have the inside knowledge of her going on live streams and completely like poo-pooing the vegan, veganism as is. She might be still a little plant-based, but we don't know. We haven't gotten there yet.
What do you eat?
I eat...
do you eat almonds? Do you drink almond milk? Eat almonds?
Oh my fucking god, everybody stop drinking almond milk and eating almonds. Did you know that Empty Cages, Hunter, he found a paper that says that the production of almonds and avocados actually saves a bunch of bees from dying throughout the winter. Because they are mobilized to be used in avocado and almond production and tomato production and a bunch of other stuff, they actually die less. They die less. Isn't that amazing? If you guys want that paper, let me know and I'll find it. I have it somewhere.
I think you're digressing from
I'm just asking a question.
the big issue
I'm just
here.
curious what you eat. Do you eat almonds?
I'm here to talk about the climate crisis.
Answer my question. Do you eat almonds or drink almond milk?
30 million people in Pakistan.
Do you drink...
Frankly, she should have said no and fuck off.
Almond milk?
Have been affected
Do you
by
drink
What's up, Sansi?
almond milk?
severe floods.
Do you drink...
Yes, would love that paper, so let me find it. One sec. I'm gonna play Piers.
I drink plant-based milk.
You do. You do. And do you eat avocados?
I eat a plant-based
Do
diet.
you eat avocado?
We're asking the government.
Do you eat avocado?
The reason this conversation with Piers Morgan is so frustrating is that he's not open or curious. He's trying...
Yeah, he's not open or curious. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care. Just let me find it one sec. Maybe I'll find it here. Yep, there it is. Granted, I haven't read it, but Hunter did, and I trust him. There you go, guys. Enjoy. That's bees being saved by almond production.
Trying to make an argument that almonds and avocados impact the planet negatively, and therefore...
No, he was not making it about the planet. He was talking about the bees. That's Stromaning Piers is still Stromaning. No problem, Sensi.
Meat farming is okay. But the reality is that industrial farming impacts the planet far greater than almonds and avocados. No one's trying to be perfect, but let's just look at some basic numbers as normal people who...
I'm trying to be perfect, but I'm failing, but that's okay. Honeybees would have still been artificially inseminated to keep up with human demands on avocados and almonds, even if it helps them live through winter. After being bred to pollinate them, well, first of all, we don't know. We don't live in that system, but it's a nice hypothesis. A counter hypothesis would be, no, we don't actually need bees for that stuff. It can be mechanically induced to grow avocados and almonds. It's easier, I guess, exploiting animals. Everything is easier when you exploit animals, I guess. But no, you don't have to. So now we have two hypotheses. We should probably find some evidence for either. Dennis, I have my evidence for the fact that you can pollinate avocados and almonds without using bees. You can just mechanically induce it or add some ventilation to the what's it called? Orchard, I guess. So probably not. I don't know, maybe, but the fact of the matter is they aren't.
Who are not scientists or
we may not need it, but that's how it's done. Well, yeah, it's done though for honey production, right? So honeybees are artificially inseminated. Sort of horrific stuff. If bees are sentient, it's really truly is horrific. And so I don't know if the honey production, if there was no honey production, if honeybees would be inseminated, then it might be too hard for, instead of just putting a couple of vents at a certain point of time, to add more air movement in the orchard. It just sounds easier than getting honeybees. So you're trying to make you're conflating two situations here. You're saying honeybees would have been artificially inseminated, but as you call them, they're honeybees. So you can't just remove the honey production from there and say, well, everything would have been the same. No, the honey production is the main reason those bees exist. If they didn't exist, maybe farmers would have chosen a different way. Maybe we wouldn't have almonds or avocados. I don't care.
researchers. This is from the New York Times. The average American consumes more than 3.
Like we can milk cows without cruelty. Evidence for that claim that we can milk cows without cruelty? I don't think we can. But that's not how it's done, so nobody would give that argument. I don't think. Like, you still have to impregnate the cow, and you still have to basically take the milk away instead of the baby calf. Like, I mean, it's not it's not a completely out of realm of possibility. Like, to exclude, it depends on how you define cruelty, I guess. I don't know, to get like a cup of milk a day, if you like don't artificially inseminate and just let cows do their thing and just get like a cup of milk a day out of them. Don't genetically modify the animals. Don't selectively breed them to be docile and with huge udders. Yeah, I guess you could do all that. I guess you could feed an animal for 2 years, just to get, after those 2 years, just to get a cup of milk a day for a while. Yeah, maybe you could have done that. Would be still exploitation, and generally we're against exploitation as vegans, and not just cruelty, right? Access that isn't going to calf. Well, that would be like if we didn't selectively breed them. That would be like a cup a day. We selectively breed them to have like huge fucking udders, right, Dennis? Yeah, nerds like us is right there. They don't give you consent. And veganism is against exploitation and killing of animals. Well, I add the killing. Some people don't, but that's okay. So it's not like, oh, it's cruelty. But if it's not cruel, that's okay. But also, the situation then becomes so fucking ridiculous and unproductive that, like, even if we put like exploitation aside and say, okay, fine, it's okay to exploit animals, raising an animal for 2 years, a huge animal, feeding them just for a cup a day of milk, it's like, all right, if you want to do that, I guess. But it's still exploitation, so don't do that, Dennis. How how's that ancestral diet treating you? How's being a carnivore? Did you take a shit yet, Dennis? It's on everybody's mind. Everybody wants to know. Hey, what's up, Andoni? I put a reminder for the stream, but didn't hear it. That's okay. We just started. 45 minutes ago. No worries.
300 gallons of California water each week by eating food that was processed there. So as you scroll down this article, it says water guzzlers, avocados, almonds. This is what Piers Morgan is trying to make an argument about.
He's not. You don't know his argument. He's making an argument. He's claiming that bees die for almonds and avocados.
Anyways. Avocados are really the reason that we are in a water drought.
Yeah, that's the reason that I generally don't eat almonds almost at all. There's just a tiny amount in my chocolate that I buy sometimes. And I don't eat avocados unless they are about to be thrown out. So like just the avocados that I can save or buy basically second before they are thrown out.
When in reality, it's not just a combination of these things, but it is the reality that livestock is the primary issue here because of what we need to fuel that.
We're still talking about fucking environment.
Livestock. These are just quick little diagrams we can use. It says June is National Dairy Month. This is from Farm Flavor. 50 gallons of water a day is consumed by a cow. And the question is, all that...
Well, that doesn't even include the fucking feed. The feed that is grown for them. For water that uses water, so it grows from 50 gallons to much more.
Water that's going to those cows, those billions of cows. What else could we do with that water? Look, you don't have to agree that 1,000 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of cow's milk is worth it or not worth it to know that at least it's a high cost. And then the question becomes, well, if this is the high cost, is it worth it? For me personally, it's not.
I mean, it could have been better if you actually showed the diagrams which exist. That almond milk is about half the use of water than dairy milk, and soy milk and oat milk are just a tiny fraction from that. Read up on colony collapse disorder and decided to stop buying almonds like purpose. Yeah, I don't buy almonds usually. Sometimes they are stealing things and I try not to get pedantic. Yeah. I think when you have something that literally you can it's not inherent to that the animals are going to be exploited and killed for it. I don't think we want to cancel almonds, right? We just want to change the system. So like boycotting almonds is probably not the best. I just happen to be like, I'm a vegan, but I also am an environmentalist. I was an environmentalist before I went vegan. So I care about both. That's why I generally don't buy almonds. But I don't think it's necessarily a moral question. It's an environmental question for sure. Sometimes there's still things, yeah. It just doesn't seem vegan to buy almonds or avocados considering they are known to exploit bees. Well, the thing is, it's not inherent. Like if we if we boycott avocados, like avocados can be grown without exploiting bees. Keep saying canceling avocados would be really silly. It's something that needs to have reform, not elimination. That's the reason. It's like a bit of a reason, but generally speaking, avoid almonds and avocados, generally speaking. I don't like it's a moral question if you go this deep into the argument. If you go a little deeper, it becomes ridiculous. Do we need to do anything with the water? Just leave it in the aquifers. Yeah. Not every vegetable relies on bees. Some are self-pollinating or wind-pollinating. Yeah. Avocados and almonds can be wind-pollinated. Like, I think tomatoes are a bit harder, but God fucking damn it. Surely we can invent a machine that goes over the tomatoes and rotates a little bit to pollinate the fucking tomatoes. Surely that can be done. So we shouldn't fucking cancel those things. We shouldn't abolish them. We should reform them. That's why vegans generally, not out of no care for bees, which may or may not be sentient. Who the fuck knows? You should source it with exploiting bees, but people use that as an excuse to source any. Well, it seems, I put the paper up there, Dennis. Would you like me to put it here again? There you go. It seems that actually the act of pollinating almonds and avocados saves bees. So, there's just another cherry on top of that stupid argument. But yeah, I agree with you. It exploits bees. It's just not inherent exploitation. So we shouldn't boycott those products. There is no, right now, it's not like, there is also not like an alternative. You can't find an avocado that you can say wasn't pollinated by bees or whatever the fuck, right? It should be like, if that was an option, I guess maybe I would buy an avocado. I just tend to avoid them, mostly. Hello, Laura. How are you doing? But avocado still use way less water, yeah? It's still like 5% of water where I live, so, I'm not keen on that. Vegans don't buy honey. If the almond farm can't make money from the bees' honey, then they will spot it. Yeah. All it takes, as far as I understood, right? I took a little deep dive for a video that I made like 2 years ago, whatever, about the inherency of things, right? About the inherency of bee exploitation for almonds. It's not fucking needed. It just increases yield a little bit. And it's, by the way, it's just this one specific almond that everybody just likes the best, right? If we also switch to a different type of almond, we can do it without bees entirely. So yeah, I don't know, maybe you can boycott almonds and avocados, maybe you can't. It doesn't matter, I think. In the grand scheme of things, it saves the bees, it uses a lot of water, so maybe don't. It's one of those things that becomes like a utilitarian calculation, and who the fuck knows where it ends, right? There could be a bunch of like 10,000 things that we are not considering in this shit. And so all we can do is like consider, is it inherent, is it not inherent? Fuck it, let's go. Polyculture is simple solution to pollination, yeah? Andoni called you Tona. I like it. Maybe you can switch calling Tona. The lifespan increasing is as that study says, doesn't change it from being exploitation. I agree with you. I agree. I'm just saying it's not an inherent to exploitation. I'm not fighting you, Dennis. I agree with you, generally speaking. It just shouldn't be boycotted, right? If we're taking the approach of boycott and that's what we're doing, right, as vegans, then it should be considered, well, should we boycott this product or not? And I think we shouldn't boycott avocados and almonds for bees, because it can be reformed later in life when we are like 20% and not 2%. Then we can actually make some damage in this world and change stuff. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the long game here, Dennis, unfortunately. If I could push a button and have like 40% people switch to the vegan mindset, I would do it. I would do it tomorrow. I would push the button so fast, sheesh. Because the heads would spin. And then it would be like a considerate amount of people to actually go through the pressure and tell the avocado farmers, listen, we have 40% of the population. If you don't change the way you produce avocados, we're gonna fucking cancel you guys. And the reduction of 40% of yield is an important distinction. And you'll see how quickly they find a way to create avocados without fucking bees. Oh, I'm sorry, Brittany. I guess we went into the woods. Dennis, God damn it.
Not worth it. And I've really enjoyed drinking nut milk. And I think there's a healthier, better way to produce it than focusing on producing dairy milk. And I just don't.
And frankly, just soy milk or oat milk for flavor, soy milk for protein. That's all we need. Like, I know we like got into the habit of milking a bunch of stuff, but like, it's like you don't need to milk the nuts. I tend to distract us. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's always an interesting conversation. I'm just saying, right? I'm saying stuff. Update your understanding of veganism, please.
Don't want us to be ugly because life is hard, but I think life sometimes is so hard that it can make you ugly. And so I just want us to be introspective, to be self-aware about our ugliness and try to be better. So that moves into the health perspective. So I want to talk about fibromyalgia and chronic health because I saw the most significant.
Yeah, I think fibromyalgia generally, people are suggested to eat closer to Mediterranean, closer to plant-based diets. Yeah, just lowers inflammation like crazy. Really helps with fibromyalgia. I know this guy who has fibromyalgia. I used to work with him on a TV station, and he actually, the dumbass, went paleo for whatever the fucking reason, I guess to lose weight, and he lost some weight, and then he went off paleo and gained a huge amount. So generally speaking, like for fibromyalgia, it's been, I think the recommendations are stay active, eat as close to plant-based diet as you can, and stay lean. It's also important supposedly for fibromyalgia. So yeah, I mean, it's still kind of new. Like most doctors are still don't believe fibromyalgia exists. I believe it. I know a doctor who consults on fibromyalgia. So
change in that regard. So
the subjectivity of bees do differ due to the social. I don't know. I think it's an interesting area in what counts as exploitation within bee colonies. I would go in further, Andoni. I don't think we know with high veracity that bees are sentient. I think they are. I think they exhibit enough nociception, but it is in question. It's like in scientific circles. So, I don't know. Hard to debate veganism as a linear subject. Well, why do you have to debate it as a linear subject? Considering many vegans of different morality exist. Example, I met two who care about levels of sentience to morally consider insects different to cows, chicks, etc. Well, you've met one more. I think sentience is the king of whether or not to consider a being morally or not, right? And I will always lose subscribers when I start talking about this shit, but you know, when you have, like, if somebody gave me like a button, and that button, if I push it, all the sentient animals in farming would be replaced with sea sponges, I would push that button so fucking fast, because I think there's absolutely no way that a sea sponge is sentient. There always is a way, because you don't know what is in somebody's mind, but the thing is that the sea sponge doesn't have a mind, so like, it's literally almost impossible for it to be sentient. And if I could replace all the sentient beings in farming with sea sponges, I would do it really fucking quickly. Right, Dennis, come on. I mean,
so over the last couple years, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I've been focusing on exercise.
It's really shit, by the way. I'm really sorry, Brittany. Like, fibromyalgia really fucking sucks. It really ruins. I have something similar. I have hyperlaxity and experience similar things to fibromyalgia, like the constant pain and stuff. But my pain is not as intense, usually, as fibromyalgia flare-up could be. I don't usually have like really, really strong pains, but yeah, it's very similar conditions. So
exercising and bringing my pain levels down. So fibromyalgia was an unexpected diagnosis for me. I wasn't prepared to have it. I got diagnosed after I got COVID. I do think I'm also suffering from long COVID, though that hasn't been confirmed. And I think my body has been experiencing a unique sense of pain that I've never felt my whole life. And for the last couple years, it has been only managed through exercise, which is the common prescription that doctors make.
Yeah, as I said.
To you when you have fibromyalgia is to work out.
And also to eat, not shit.
Now, of course, sometimes I'm not motivated to work out. Sometimes I lose my momentum. Sometimes I'm so stressed with other things that I don't always make it to the home gym. I work out at home with weights. Nothing fancy, but sometimes I can't do it, okay? Sometime in the middle of this process, about the third week in, I kind of slowed down my working out. And then it had been about 3-4 days since I had worked out, but I wasn't feeling that bad. Now, to make this...
Yeah, that's the thing. You kind of turn into this circular causality, because if you stop working out, at first you feel fine, but then you come out of habit of working out, and then the pain kicks in. So you fucking there you go. Now you definitely don't feel like working out, and then you have to scroll yourself back into it. It's a cycle I know well, unfortunately. That's what I mean. Like, I give bees the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know, like, studies on bee behavior is really interesting regardless. If you have Anthony, if you have something more substantial that you can send me, I would love to read up more about it. Guys, educate me. I love being educated on stuff. Here's my my Gmail. If you can send me something, I would appreciate it. If you read something interesting, I want to know. There's a booger in my nose? I'm sure there is. And then the pain kicks in. You're just too hurt to working out. I know that so well. I know. You have to crawl out of it somehow. I haven't worked out, and it's on my docket. I've written it down today. I'm, by the way, back to being like semi-productive. So I make lists, and I go through the list and do stuff, actually. Did some washing, did some more important stuff than that. So yeah, yay. So it's on my docket to work out today. I'm hoping to get there.
It's clear to you. We got to transfer my screen over to this screen here. This is the screen I used for my streams.
That's a VAS, by the way. It's it's like a pain score. VAS, what is? It's called the VAS score, VAS. That's like the subjective pain assessment or something like that. I don't remember.
Is example of like pain levels with a face. This is a visual helping tool that I want to use for you guys to understand. So most days prior to being vegan or going vegan for this 30-day challenge, most days I'm a 4. Okay, so hurts a little bit more. I'm always in a constant state of fluctuating between a 4.
I'd say most days I'm somewhere around 2. I wouldn't say I almost never get to 4. At night, sometimes, oof, the nights for joints are really fucking hard. How's my illness? Do you mean the virus? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's mixed up with allergies right now because it's seasonal allergies, but I'm not 100% by any stretch of imagination, but it's not as bad as it was. She's searching from being vegan. No, she's gonna say that not veganism, a plant-based diet really helped her out, actually. She's gonna say that in a second.
In a 6. But
we're not hurting as vegans, Dennis. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's unrelated. I have shit genetics. I have hypermobility. Similar to fibromyalgia, I'm always in a little bit of pain. It has nothing to do with a plant-based diet. A plant-based diet did not or does not interact with it in any kind of way.
Usually a 4.
Non-vegans hurt me.
Or I wait.
Oh, no, most like 6 or 7. It's a lot to live with, Bianca. I'm so sorry. No, it didn't remove all pain for me, Anthony. Genetics is genetics. So the plant-based diet can't change my genetics.
Wake up and assume I'll be at a 4. That's usually my daily. Okay. Even when I'm exercising, I fluctuate between like a 4 and maybe a 2 sometimes, but usually like a 4 is my happy spot. Okay, so I've gotten used to the pain level. Like I've gotten used to it, right? Well, before I did this challenge, I would get some days all the way up to 10. And, you know, that's the day I would skip stream, or those are the days I would just like completely crash on the couch. Those are the days where I would just wish my body would basically not exist.
Oh shit, I know those days. There are not many of them, but I know them.
Because I was in so much pain, right? If you go and you look at my changes because of this vegan diet, I took dairy completely out of my diet. And I had been actually gluten-free as well because I had noticed that gluten was really hurting me. So here I am, gluten-free, dairy-free, and I stopped exercising. And for like a week, I hadn't exercised. And this is just a very long time. If I go a week without exercising, I'm usually at an 8 or a 10.
Yeah, then she has fibromyalgia. So fibromyalgia is an intense pain in fibers, meaning in muscles and joints. It's terrible. Like I know people who like go to emergency rooms because of fibromyalgia. So she was already in pain, yeah.
And this is like not a decision I make lightly. I try very much never to get to a week. I usually can get up to 4 days before I start working out again, because that 8 or 9, 10, whatever, that will stop me from working. And I really love my job and I want to be here.
No, Dennis, you're not listening. She's saying usually, right? The average of her pain is a 4. There are days where she goes to 10. But when she works out and she blah, 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 she's at 4. And now she's about to say what's happening when she didn't work out but was on a vegan diet. Vegan diet and gluten-free.
With you guys. So I try really never to get there, right? Because I don't want to do that to myself. Now that I've been during this journey vegan, I noticed I didn't hurt in the same way. And I was like, but I'm not exercising. What is so different? And I really think it's the vegan diet. I don't know if it's the dairy or the vegan part of it. I'm very confused. Since I stopped working out, which was a week and a half ago at least, maybe even a little bit longer, I have been at a solid 2. And it hurts a little bit. So I do, like right now, I feel a buzzing. I am in pain. I can feel it in my body. I am in pain, but it's very little. And this is kind of amazing because I have really been suffering, as you who suffer from chronic illness know. It's a lot, and it's a pain you can't explain to people, right? So the fact that my default without exercising on this vegan diet is a 2, and my default off a vegan diet, eating dairy, eating meat, is a 4, kind of tells me, and a 4 with exercise tells me, informs me, there's an answer here. That for me and my body, there's an answer here. So
I mean, okay, I don't want to, Brittany, I don't want to poo-poo on your parade, right? So first of all, pain is like, I'm so sorry. It's terrible that you live like this. I live similarly, although not with as much pain. So I can completely empathize. I wouldn't put so much stock into a diet and saying, oh my God, this is the answer. Because it might change, right? So like, yeah, keep it for now. But like, keep in mind that sometimes just pain goes up. Or sometimes maybe your body will like kind of assimilate to the changes in your diet, and you might go back to 3 or even back to 4 one day. I'm just saying that because I also am familiar with the search for the cure thing, more with my sleep problems than with pain or with hypermobility. So I don't know, I'm just saying one should be careful, reduce expectations. It also could be a placebo effect. Placebo effect is incredibly strong. It can reduce pain by like 30%. Not even gonna lie. Don't want to poo-poo on the fact that she went plant-based and she feels better. I just say, just like, keep in mind all these things. Keep in mind the placebo effect and other stuff, because thinking that you found something and then at some point it kind of stops working as much, it can be heartbreaking. So, one should stay within centered when it comes to chronic illness, unfortunately, or chronic problems altogether. I will never find a way to have to sleep in a way that is regenerative to me. It's getting worse, probably because of age, right? So even good days is so I have to stay optimistic but also centered in this, because if I find something and then it stops working, the heartbreak alone is devastating sometimes. So
I'm going to continue being off dairy. I'm going to continue focusing on the vegan diet. I'm going to continue doing those things, but with some caveats, which we'll get to after the ethics section. I would really recommend veganism, the vegan diet, for at least a month. See how your pain levels go. At least
that's the trouble, right? A placebo effect can last for a month. Can last for several months, frankly. Does regenerative sleeping take up more bed space? Probably not. Caveats though, yeah.
At least if you're not going to go vegan, take out the dairy. When I was doing the vegetarian challenge before this, I was eating...
I'm not gonna lie, I think dairy is fucking evil. But I don't have evidence for it though. I think I literally have to stop myself from whoever talking about whatever, pain, ache, whatever. I'm like, have you taken out dairy? I literally have to stop myself from doing that because it's not scientifically backed. But, well, dairy is evil for ethical reasons for sure. But if we're talking she's talking about the diet, right? So I'm reacting to that. Low key, I think dairy is absolutely evil.
So much dairy. I wanted to eat...
even if we could create a fermented dairy, I still think it's evil. Not for moral reasons, for dietary reasons.
Much dairy as possible, specifically cheeses, before I stopped because I...
Speaking of, fermented dairy is seriously on its way, so it's really nice to hear. Oh my God, I'm fantasizing about farmers losing their jobs at this point. I'm sorry to say, but I think dairies should be closed and we should open oat farms instead. Did your jawline change from eating raw meat? What the fuck?
I thought I was going to miss it the most, which I did, by the way. I did miss cheese the most. And then I switched to nutritional yeast, which I use on everything now. Absolutely love it.
Yep. Nooch for the rescue. There is evil in every kind of way, confirmed, yeah.
I cannot believe I've been missing out on nutrition.
Low-key fermented cheese I would try. Although, just found a plant-based cheese that you can put on top of pizza. It's fantastic. For real. And it was very easy to make. Shitload of calories. Talking about vegan, of course. I must say, because I have non-vegans in my fucking chat.
Nutritional yeast all this time. It is so delicious. It is so good. And I know, and this is something maybe the vegans can answer in the comment sections. I know everyone tells you to make your own cashew cheese, but I can't ethically consume cashews. We just covered this on stream. Cashews are unethically sourced and in such a way that I can't justify it.
By the way, it could be solved by just giving them more money and giving them gloves. All the ethical, again, cashews is something that can be reformed. Right, the burns that people have from cashew farming, just give them fucking gloves, Jesus Christ, and pave them better. It can be reformed. And maybe switch to mechanical production or something. Maybe we can ferment cashews one day. Can you imagine? Oh my God, that would be the coolest. Can we ferment everything? Just precision ferment the entire food system.
The perfect snack, healthy.
Yeah. She's gonna say at the end that she's gonna bring back some chicken into her diet or some shit like that, right? And she's gonna completely disregard all the ethical stuff. Oh, I can't consume cashews. I'm gonna eat literal corpse. So yeah.
Rich in vitamins, suitable for vegetarians, cashew nuts are in high demand.
What's up, vegan Dylan? Miyoko's cream cheese traditionally ferments cashews. Yeah, sounds cool.
But at the other side of the world...
Oh, it's not a spoiler because I haven't watched Bianca. I'm just assuming it's gonna be chicken. I'm just assuming.
This little
Or
nut
salmon or something. It's gonna be one of those two.
has become a nightmare for thousands of women. India is the world's top...
Just give them fucking gloves. Gloves are like pennies per pair.
cashew producer. Dozens of processing facilities in the region supply mostly European
I mean, without this, they wouldn't have a job. Just give them gloves, and that's it. Like, solved.
and American
No, cashew is vegan.
customers. To start, they use a machine to cut the nut in half. Their speed is impressive, and it has to be. They're paid by volume, just 4 to 6 euros per day.
They gotta be paid better, and that's it. Problem solved. Jesus.
At a nearby cooperative, women also sort nuts by hand. They're self-employed and earn even less selling their products to wholesalers.
So just pay them more, and that's it. And it's solved, and women can continue to have their own fucking business. That's an amazing thing that's happening there. They just gotta be paid more. Okay, fucking fair trade. Fair trade gotta expand their shit to cashews, okay? And, because just doing coffee and chocolate it's a problem. There are more things that we can do. Okay, we can pay for cashews more once in a while, right? So let's just reform those things.
Or 3 euros per day on average. Here, too, their hands are badly damaged by acids
Just give them fucking gloves.
in the nuts.
These liquids we're constantly touching all day burn our fingers and turn them black.
They say gloves slow them down too much and quickly
Oh, that's the reason. Well, just pay them more.
rip as well.
We can, like, if we boycott cashews, they will have nothing to do. So they will have no income, you know what I mean? Low-key, I kind of boycott cashews as well, but I'm just not sure that that's the right thing to do. I literally didn't have a cashew in, like, years. Or didn't buy a cashew. I had cashews that somebody else bought. It's like, then we're going into this fucking utilitarian calculator, and who the fuck knows what could, like, boycotting cashews could turn into, right? They could fucking starve to death, those women. So just pay them all. Let's make it fair trade, a fair trade company or something.
Well, their problems aren't limited to the skin.
Yeah, that's why, Bianca, remember I switched to fair trade coffee.
Our eyes burn. At night we feel feverish, so we can't sleep.
By the time they arrive on Western shelves,
Yeah, we can make vegan cheese from something else. We don't have to make it from cashews. Again, it's just lots of calories, so I'm not gonna do it as much, but flavor-wise, texture-wise, fucking fantastic.
the cashews no longer contain dangerous acids. As importers here in Europe continue to demand lower prices and greater quantities to meet skyrocketing demand, groups are calling on supermarkets
Let's just fair trade that shit.
to ensure fair trade practices and calling on shoppers to seek out fair trade nuts. Because at the other end of the supply chain, it's these women who bear the consequences.
It's not a big deal for me not to eat cashews, but I notice a lot of vegan.
I mean, it's just, like, if you boycott this, then they have nothing. It's just, like, the logic is backwards. Can't use flavor as justification. Vegan will be shouting taste doesn't justify cruelty to you. I didn't use flavor like that, Dennis. So no moral issues with the cheese that I made. So so you can have two products, right? One of them is morally produced and the other one is not morally produced. It's totally okay to say I'm buying that product because it tastes good if there are no moral implications to that product, or as little moral implications as fucking possible, right? It's when there is moral implication that taste pleasure is problematic as an excuse to use that product. It's just, again, a complete misunderstanding of veganism on your part. You've been around us for so long, Dennis. What the fuck? Start learning.
Vegans eat cashews, and I wonder how vegan...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you, but, it's becoming frustrating.
How do they do that? Like, how do you ethically consume cashews so much? Why are all the vegan shops selling cashew cheese?
Because boycotting it could make it worse for those women. Arguably. I don't know. Let's make it fair trade. I don't consume cashews.
Why is everyone bragging about cashew cheese? Like, it's so unethically sourced. So I'm a little confused. Like, maybe somebody can explain it.
Like, those women still have their lives. The dairy cows don't. If you have to choose between the two cheeses, one is produced by a dairy cow, one is produced by these women, those women still have lives. They can fucking eat from that money. They can survive from that money. They fucking live. The cows aren't. The cows are fucking exploited. Those women agree to this. If they don't leave this industry, they stay there despite being fucking with a pain in their fucking hands. Me and Jeremy, well, yeah, Jeremy thinks I'm a consequentialist. I don't think I am. I have a few twinks that I should fix if I, have a bit more education in philosophy.
In the comment sections. I just love everything about the way I feel. Oh, and one more part, which I know isn't the most important part, is aesthetically. It might not be obvious to anyone else, but I've been holding on to this chub that I have been very concerned about and curious about. Like, why am I swelling? Why am I bloating? Well, taking out gluten helped with the bloating, but I was still swollen and I didn't know what was going on. And now that I've been off the dairy, I think it's gone away. Like, I feel really good. Even my partners notice, like, oh, you look different. I feel very just light. And it's hard to even want to go back to being swollen again, but I feel really, really good. And so I really recommend this from a chronic health perspective. Try it out, see if you like it, because it changed my life. In terms of health,
Yeah, that's kind of what my point was, Aluwali, when I said that she should be careful with making the claims about the diet and putting all her stock in this diet. That's kind of where I was going, but I forgot to say it. If you put so much stock in the changes of your diet and then it changes again, right? And then you have to make adjustments again. She could swing all the way to carnivory, which would be stupid with fibromyalgia. But it's, the fucking placebo effect could kick in again and she would have a reduction in pain again. It's just no stability when you come to veganism through health, and you don't continue into ethics. It is ex-vegan waiting to happen, I think, entirely.
Thing that I learned recently that I didn't quite process until I saw a visual for it is that meat is a carcinogen, meaning it could or does contribute to cancer. So think about cigarettes contributing to cancer. I mean,
not in the same way, but a little less risk. I don't know how much risk, frankly, but I think it's not akin to cigarettes in the amount of risk.
Really process this. I know our communities are very meat heavy, but also our communities are dying. We have heart problems and high cholesterol, and
you're gonna get to the fucking ethics
and issues with so many things that
sorry guys, I'm becoming impatient.
Certain point of your dad's life, usually his doctor will tell him to eat less red meat. I think we're there as a country. I just think it's interesting as a country, we're always talking about how unhealthy our food is, but we won't look at this thing that all of us are eating, this thing called meat. And as a person who wants to avoid...
Well, she's not she was never vegan. She's just calling it vegan because societally, that's what people call a fully plant-based diet, like vegan. She's not an ex-vegan, but yeah, I'm getting your point.
Cancer and Alzheimer's.
Skip through. No, I want to give I don't want to miss any context.
The best of my ability. I think
but maybe I can go a bit higher on the playback speed. There you go. Up.
Taking meat out of my diet helps contribute to that.
People just assume that Alzheimer's disease is a genetic disease, that if their parents or their grandparents...
I don't think we can make the claim that... Here's the thing. Right now, my main project is about Alzheimer's disease, which of course means nothing because it's not like we do diet interventions or whatever the fuck. And one of the doctors, she always writes in the notes, one of the doctors who brings us patients for our research, she writes in the notes, keep a Mediterranean diet. But I'm like, well, nobody fucking knows what that means, right? She's just writing that. But generally speaking, I don't think we can say with that much credence that omnivorous diet causes us, increases the onset of Alzheimer's risk. I don't know. Gotta ask Patrick. I'm gonna ask them later.
Had Alzheimer's disease, that they're bound to develop it, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Only 3% of cases have that kind of a genetic pattern where if they have the gene, they will develop it. In more than 90% of the cases, lifestyle is what pushes the manifestation of the disease.
With that said, I also think...
it's both.
People have the right to live and die how they want. So if you want to smoke cigarettes and possibly get cancer, if you look at research data, people who've never smoked a day in their life get cancer. We need to be having conversations about where's the cancer coming from? Is it our meat? What is it? And so for me, I'm going to go with the science and the numbers.
By 2050, the world's population could approach 10 billion, and around 60% more food could be needed to feed everyone.
The environmental impacts of the food system are daunting. It's responsible for about a quarter of all greenhouse gases.
Every single time they show the fucking monocropping. When it's not even the worst fucking thing for the environment.
Food could be needed to feed everyone.
It's too fast, I'm sorry. I'm gonna reduce it.
The environmental impacts of the food system are daunting. It's responsible for about a quarter of all greenhouse gases.
Why aren't you showing the fucking beef farms, the feedlots? What the fuck? Beef farm is the thing that is responsible most for the degradation of the environment in the food system. Why aren't they, every time they show the monocrops?
Emissions. It uses about 70% of all freshwater resources, and it occupies about 40% of the Earth's land surface. Food-related emissions could increase to 50% by 2050 and fill up the total emissions budget that we have in order to avoid dangerous levels of climate change.
Interest in vegan food has been booming across the rich world. A major study has put the diet to the test, analysing an imagined scenario in which the world goes vegan by 2050.
If everybody went vegan by 2050, we estimated that the food-related greenhouse gas emissions could be reduced by 3/4.
Cows are the biggest emission contributors. Bugs in their digestive system produce methane, and deforestation for their pasture releases carbon dioxide. These
but
gases...
even then, they're showing... Oh, now they're showing the CAFO. Oh, poor kiddos. Oh, fuck. Every time I look at the cows in this situation, I'm like, fuck.
Warm the planet. If cows were a country, they'd be the third largest greenhouse gas emitter.
Now, if new data comes out, I'll change again. And this is the thing that I think is specific about Brittany, is that I always change with new information. I only want good data. I want to move forward with good data. And sometimes we'll get bad data. Well, okay, when we get the good data, we'll change again. I'm all about that change. And I think that that's what I want to encourage you to do, if anything, is to be open to the change. I think sometimes we want to come to an answer and stick to the answer, and that's the only answer ever. But
no, it's fair. That's a fair point. That's a really cool thing to say, actually, Brittany. I appreciate you saying this. Yeah, we shouldn't be as in love with our beliefs, right, as we sometimes are. We should switch and believe in something else once presented with evidence. It's 100% global problem. That people are not as easily switching their beliefs when presented with evidence to the contrary of their beliefs. Yeah, it's so horrible how cramped they are. Yeah.
I'm never going to be that person. I just don't think humans are smart enough to actually discover an answer that is going to be true forever in the way that we currently implement that thinking. Let's talk about the autistic perspective. Autism is interesting. It's not a monolithic experience.
Before that, let me go get some coffee and take out the coffee that I already drank, if you know what I mean. So I'll just mute myself. I'm not going to put it on the thing. Be right back. Right, I'm back. No panicking. It's all right. I actually want to hear the autistic angle at normal speed. I'm interested. Are we ready? Is anybody else gone to the toilet? I did not forget my cup. I got my cup.
So this is just my experience. There are categories of safe foods that usually neurodivergent autistic people seek out when they don't want to eat anything else.
The one thing I never had is like, well, not never, when I was a baby apparently, I had some issues, and with dairy. Ugh, I always had issues with dairy. But no any other food, right? And I think it's sufficient to say that I just might be, touches me neurodivergent myself, so that's why I'm kind of, but like I never had the food stuff to a high degree. You got a second bullet.
And I do have my list of safe foods, things like beef jerky, chicken wings, French fries, chicken nuggets, things like that I could eat basically all the time. So during this vegan experiment, I did have a 5-day week. Oh, that was a really heavy week where I just didn't want anything. And so I defaulted to French fries with a mustard sauce, which was vegan, really yummy, really delicious. I loved it. I really love potatoes, but I wasn't getting the nutritional benefits from just eating fries. So I was definitely like not the healthiest that week, which is okay.
Supplement. God fucking damn it. Every time somebody makes such a claim, I gotta take a supplement of my supplement wall. Just grab one of these. And in case if you go on a potato diet, also grab like some, I guess she might have an issue with protein powder if she has like texture issues. Let's face it, protein powder is disgusting. But by the way, I put protein powder in the delicious cheese I was talking about, so fantastic. Look how easy that is. Just do that. And by the way, if you put potatoes into chronometer, like a potato diet, it's almost fucking complete. The only thing that it's really missing is like fucking protein. It's very little protein, but...
You know, better some food than no food, right?
It is equivalent to taking a shot. Every time somebody says something about supplements, I gotta take one.
My favorite, but I think that had I had my chicken wings, I still would have been in that same position in a way where I just would have eaten chicken wings with no vegetables, and what is missing from the American diet is vegetables.
When the federal dietary guidelines come out with their eat more messaging, they come out very clearly. Dietary guidelines say eat more fruits and vegetables. But what if you don't have access to fruits and vegetables?
5 miles away, you have Loma Linda. This population lives more than a decade longer and healthier than everyone else. Most of the population has access to healthy foods. Majority of them are vegetarians, and even when they're not, they eat meat sparingly. 2 areas, just 5 miles apart, and the biggest difference is food.
For me, as a layperson,
it's not alpha carbs. You're lying to yourself. It's not missing in taste. Your taste buds are just too dead on the highly palatable foods. Once you drop these, everything tastes better.
Who's uneducated, who's trying her best to understand things, from my understanding, even if when I was
it's obviously different. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's not what people are like, oh my God, taste. If you stop eating meat for like 3 months, everything else starts tasting better, is the thing that I'm trying to say. The flavor of meat and cheese and all that stuff is so strong that it kind of kills the rest of the food for yourself. Seriously. What's wrong with Greg? He makes some claims that are not necessarily can be fully backed by science. He's definitely been caught even lying once or twice. But you know, blah, 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 blah.
Meat eater, I was missing out on things realistically. There were things I could have done better, like eat more fruits or vegetables.
I've seen my I'm Autistic Now What. It's a good video. They are vegan. Yeah. I think autistic people or neurodivergent people altogether are more likely to go vegan because of a strong connection to justice. We are more likely to pursue justice than their neurotypical people. Taste isn't objective, but this fact is. Some things are so strong in taste that the rest pale in comparison. Makes sense, right? So when you stop eating the stuff that it makes tastes really, really strong, the rest of the stuff slowly but surely becomes tastier.
Fiber intake was very low.
I think that thing is like, if it's not objective, it's at least like, I don't know, makes sense a lot to a lot of people.
And so now I am...
We're the true Justice League, yeah.
TMI, having much better movements. My stool has been much better. Time in the restroom has been much better. I also take a daily magnesium. I've been taking B12. I take iron supplements. And all of that has been great. No big deal. Accessible. Easy to get. Doable, right? But even when I was a meat eater, I know I was really lacking on a lot of things that I now have been...
Oh, it's as if meat is not a magic thing. As if meat doesn't magically make you sufficient in all micronutrients. That's okay. I answered it, Bianca. It's okay.
Sort of forced to incorporate into my food. And I will say one thing that this 30 days has given me was intentionality. I've been so intentional, right? I think it is funny when people say, oh, what do you eat on a vegan diet? Like, oh my gosh, you're gluten-free too. Don't you feel like that's so restrictive? I never understand this question. There are so many things you can eat while being vegan.
It's callaloo, ackee, sweet potato, yam, banana, and tomato, cabbage, spinach, avocado, chocho, butterbean, and cocoa, courgette, millet, plantain, rice and peas and pumpkin, mango, dates and guava, chickpeas and cassava, Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, onion, fennel and cucumber, plum, pear and papaya, aubergine and saya, lime, lentils and quinoa, wholemeal bread and wholemeal flour, watercress and okra, tofu and sweet pepper, couscous and carrot, broccoli and coconut, peaches, apples, apricot, breadfruit, jackfruit, soursop, pistachios, cashews and almond, walnut, peanut, also pecan, sesame seeds, sunflower, lemon, orange, pineapple and melon, bogle root and garlic, lychee, and rocky, pocho and pomegranate, kiwi, corn, turnip berries, cherries and strawberries, beetroot, grape. See, there's a lot of foods you can eat, and all of them got different vitamins, different minerals, which are really good for your body, and if you eat a well-balanced vegan diet, you don't need anything more,
So sometimes when I hear critics say that, it just gets like really confusing because I didn't run out of options for food to eat, even if sometimes my brain just didn't want to eat anything. That's just what I'm going to chalk up to neurodivergency, right? Now let's get into the ethics of it all. So morals are for you.
Brittany, Jesus fucking finally. Veganism is about fucking the philosophy of it's a moral stance. Jesus. Just getting into this now, 25 minutes in, but finally, yeah.
Personal and ethics are societal standards. I do have to explain to you my belief system about the world. Brittany's, not anybody else's. I believe we're evolved animals on a planet. I do not believe like humans are inherently more important than animals. I think we are all just existing together in this ecosystem. I think we evolved. I believe in dinosaurs. I believe in, basically what the science assumes is our best theory of creation. I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in angels or demons. I am open to whatever is true based off evidence, but I'm not interested in holding a lot of beliefs that have like very little evidence. So I think the problem with these conversations is if you talk to a religious person, they might say we have dominion over animals and that's why we get to eat them. But that's not my perspective. My perspective is actually the animal perspective, that we're all just animals and we're non-human animals and human animals and we exist together. And I personally don't think, I'm more important than my cat who's currently sleeping on her little bed right here to the left of me. Like, I'm not more important than her. And at the same time, I think as an animal species that believes in preserving my species, I obviously want to prioritize human health above animal health, but not at the expense of animal health. And I think this is really important. I always want to benefit others, but not at the expense of others. And so I try really hard to find that.
Yeah, I'm with you so far. Yeah. With minor details, but I don't want to be here for for the love of God, 2 hours more.
Balance. I would never make the prescription for perfection personally, so I am never aiming for perfection. I'm only aiming to be less bad. In some way, having a child, having a baby, birthing something into existence causes suffering. And so in some ways, just existing is inherently suffering. So you have to
That's why I don't like talking about suffering and cruelty and all that stuff. It kind of irks me because then, we kind of losing, what's up, Leon? Kind of losing the context, right? If we're talking about, life is suffering. But there's context to causing someone suffering, right?
Bring down the bad rather than keep doing good. I think a lot of people try to be very good, and by being very good, you actually end up being very bad because they don't like to think of themselves as being bad.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's like, I think it's sort of, for the most part, except for Alphacaros, I think is the only exception here. For the most part, people want to be good. For the most part, people strive to be good, even if they have to lie to themselves about it, right? I think generally people want to be if not the best, but at least good. They think they're a good person, and they're willing to change reality, basically, or how they perceive reality to stay a good person. This is what cognitive dissonance basically is, right?
And that usually is because of the story we tell ourselves. So people say, like, I couldn't be a...
what does Alphacaros say for you to... He knows he's a piece of shit. He knows. Alphacaros, make yourself known. I don't know, right? Alphacaros, would you say that it's that you're striving to be a good person? Maybe I was wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm gonna admit it. No, you don't strive to be a good person. Yeah, there you go. See, Dennis, I think I know Alpha Caros a little bit. All right.
Bad person, look at all this good I do. But I think of it more as, how do I mitigate the harm? How do I harm reduce? So again,
Yeah. But if you could eliminate the harm, why wouldn't you?
I believe that as a human, I want to protect human life, but not at the expense of animal life.
Oh, so you're finally here. That's good, Elliot. And again, I'm so sorry for the wrong format, but that's what we're doing today. Maybe next week. Actually, this is a good place to say that I might kind of increase the amount of times I'm going live for a while at least. Put 1 in the chat if you think that's okay. Put 2 in the chat if you think that would be monopolizing your time way too much if I go live like 2 or 3 times a week for a while, for a little bit in the next few weeks or so.
Life, non-human life.
The question is, put 1 in the chat if it's okay that I go live 2 or 3 times a week instead of 1 for a little bit. Put 2 in the chat if you think that would monopolize your time way too much.
Non-human animal life, but at the same time I want to make sure there's a balance of understanding. So I'll give some examples and you guys can answer in the comment sections down below what comes to mind when I say this. As an example of a scenario, if the building is on fire and I have to save my cat, Indiana, or a neighbor I don't know, I'm going to save my cat because I know her and I have a connection to her and we're bonded and we've been together over, a decade plus. Like, she is my companion. She is our third roommate. She is important to our family, and she and her life.
Am I trolling? No, I'm not trolling. I'm just saying sometimes, sometimes it puts a strain on people's time. If a creator streams for too many times a week. I don't know. I don't want to be insensitive to your time, guys.
Life is not less important than my neighbors. I don't know my neighbor. I'm sure they're a nice person.
You
I
see,
hope they're...
Leon is trying to reduce his YouTube time, so Leon's probably not going to join on our streams. The reason I want to stream a little more for the next few weeks is because I want to become better at graphic design, and we are kind of on a course. We started that course on Sunday. And second is because I have to kind of work a lot until the end of March at least. Because I was sick, now I have to make up the time, otherwise I starve or something. Not really. So I'm gonna stream a little more because I just won't have time to do the video that I wanted to do. I'm writing a video about cognitive dissonance, but I just won't have the time in the foreseeable future to give that enough attention, and I probably shouldn't until I'm better at creating thumbnails anyway, and that's why I want to stream a little more. I can live with the vertical now, actually, because somebody told me about the app New Pipey, and that lets you watch videos at a different speed. Interesting. That's why you had an issue with it, because you couldn't keep up, because you couldn't do twice as fast. I will join almost all of them. Okay, yeah, Olawali. I would appreciate that. New Pipe, not New Pipey. New Pipey is cuter. Okay, Dennis, see you later.
Their family gets out safe, but like, their life isn't more important than my cat's, right? Just because she's a cat. Now, if we're in a scenario, a car is speeding down a highway and it's going to hit a baby or a cat, who will I save? Like, I'm going to save the baby, right? I'm not going to prioritize the cat. One, I don't know either of them.
Could it be that vegans would answer, I would save the baby, but only because of the societal implications of not saving a baby, but saving a cat? Put up 1 in the chat if that's kind of the thing that you are saying, just because societally it would be abhorrent to say that you would save a cat over a baby.
So I'm going to choose the human because I'm a human, but also they're both strangers to me. So I kind of, doesn't really matter which one I pick, but I do think as a human.
Oh, I'm really exposing the vegan community in my chat right now.
I should protect human life, right? They get a priority, but not because they're better than non-human animals. It's just
the carnists in my chat. They're joking, of course.
Just that makes more sense to me to protect humans and hopefully not at the expense of animals, though in that scenario, an animal has to be the one who gets hit. So I understand. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it clear to you that I don't choose animals over humans. I choose situationally which animal over which human. I don't think you can say, oh, we only have to protect non-human animals and we only have to protect humans. It feels a little bit silly to say something like that when most of us would agree that we'd maybe run into a burning building for our dogs. Why, if they're not so important? Well, because we have a bond with them. Another scenario that comes to mind, which I think is a quandary for vegans and me alike, is survivability. Like, what does it mean to survive in the world? What does it mean to exist? I think we are in one of the most gluttonous stages of human civilization. I think we are incredibly vain and narcissistic, and it's not technically a fault of our own. I think we're biological creatures evolved over time. I could reference Robert Sapolsky's Determined in this regard, where I do think there is a science to this idea of a lack of free will. But I would argue, and this is my philosophy, the levels linked down below.
Yeah, I'm a little red-pilled into that we have very little actual free will. I'm a little red-pilled into that, or black-pilled, I guess.
The description, I believe you can have a more...
Which makes the battle for the vegan world much harder, but I don't give up.
Introspective relationship with that biological experience. So we do not transcend biology. We simply exist within it on levels. And most people are operating on what I call a 2 level. And they're not bad people inherently, but I think humans are inherently like negative in the sense that they are an animal species that is very destructive. They seem to be inherently very destructive as a species. Like right now, a lot of animals facing extinction are because of us. The environment, global warming, climate change, all of these things are heavily impacted by our doing.
What will cause the extinction of life on the planet next time? Volcanoes erupting, asteroid impacts, sunspots, or developing fatal diseases in a lab? Well, here's what we know from history. There have been 5 past mass extinctions, and everyone was caused by a climate crisis. The last, a climate crisis caused by an asteroid impact. We are experiencing a 6th extinction right now. We're not quite at the levels, obviously, that happened when the dinosaurs were wiped out, but the rate of extinction that's happening right now, if it persists, will cause Earth's 6th extinction time ago.
Yeah, we're gonna cook slowly.
Sharks were around a couple 100 million years before the dinosaurs. They persisted through the entire reign of the dinosaurs. They survived the mass extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs. And obviously they exist today. But you know what they're having trouble with? Us. There's a lot of sharks that are critically endangered right now because they're being overfished and because their environments are being destroyed, such as the great hammerhead shark, which is endangered. And they are the apex predators in many of the ecosystems in which they live. And predators are important. It keeps actually the
Oh my god, I hate the conversation about predators. I'm gonna skip this. Sorry, guys. It's just, sorry, kinda delusional. Predators are so important. They eat animals alive. Jesus.
Objectively, in some sense, that humans are destructive. Even though we build great things, it's usually at the expense of someone else. Like the 70 billion animals we eat a year through factory farming, right? The standards and practices of factory farming are abhorrent.
The way the system works is they own the birds, they own the feed, they own the medications and all that stuff. What I actually owned was the land and the buildings. And you're gonna see a sea of white from wall to wall. I just think the bird is bred to suffer. They didn't ask me to do anything.
Am I gonna split it? I will try not to. We'll try to persevere and finish off. I'm less interested about this part, but she promised to talk about ethics, and she haven't been hitting the nail on the head. But also, I think she leans more to consequentialism, so we would have less to talk about, frankly.
Cruel. Didn't have to. Then they're crawling all over each other, and they're scratching each other and opening up wounds. Bam, enter bacteria, you had issues.
If one animal gets sick, it spreads throughout these warehouses really quickly. So they use antibiotics in a prophylactic way to prevent diseases from happening.
More antibiotics are fed to farm animals than are used in all of human medicine just to promote growth and prevent disease in such a stressful, unhygienic environment.
One of the side effects of giving animals low levels of antibiotics is that they become a breeding ground for antibiotic-resistant bacteria.
They now have strong evidence of a dangerous strain of E. coli
that is now highly resistant to antibiotic treatment.
At least 2 million Americans get antibiotic-resistant infections each year, with 23,000 deaths. We are continuing to barrel towards a future where a cut on your hand or an infection from a routine dental procedure could prove to be deadly.
Well, we're not, because the scientists are developing something else. I don't remember what it's called. You can ask my ex-boss at some point. But scientists are developing something to replace antibiotics, so probably not going to get there.
Because there's very little that we can do to treat that infection.
And that's human created. So I can't really say with a full chest that humans are these great things when we're so good at destroying things. And not to mention, when we talk about the value of animal life, we're barely comprehending the value of human life. There's a genocide happening right in front of us in Palestine, and people don't care. So, realistically, there is a conversation to be had about, do humans value any life at the end of the
I don't know if I'm not
day.
going to
Now,
go into politics, I'm sorry.
Here's a scenario that I think is difficult to answer if I was to call myself a vegan. So my brothers and I talk about this all the time because we all have like companions, non-human animal companions, and we love them. And I always ask, like, okay, if you're stuck in the snow and you're going to be dying, or you're in a desert and you're going to be dying, like, do you eat your animal? Do you eat your companion? And a lot of my siblings and I all say no. We're like, nah, we'll die with them, if anything. Like, we're not going to eat that animal. I wouldn't eat my cat. I wouldn't eat Indiana Jones. Don't think it would be worth it. I think it would be more worth it for her and I to die together, if anything. But I think that's because she is my companion, right? But another animal, like maybe a fish or maybe something I could catch, I would eat that animal. I don't have a connection to that animal. I would be fine eating that animal. Does that make me not vegan? Are vegans in survival situations allowed to eat animals? And if they're not allowed to eat animals...
Yes, because the context changes.
How does that make sense if we're biological creatures of...
Also, you will never find yourself in that situation. Not ever. The chances of you finding yourself in a situation like on a fucking plane crash or whatever, fucking none. You're not gonna be there.
Over time, and we're animals sort of consuming animals. I know we want to give humans this.
Or you can say that you'll break veganism if you find yourself in that situation. It doesn't matter, like, generally speaking, it doesn't matter what your answer is to this question. You're never going to find yourself in that situation.
Great credit of being like these intellectual beings that are so great and we're so much wiser, but like we're obviously not. Statistics show we're struggling with Nazism again, and racism is just always here. I don't know why we give ourselves so much credit in being these great wise creatures when we're struggling so hard. We can't even get people not to cheat on their spouses or not to hurt their own children. So I don't know why we view human beings as these like great intellectual people. And I think meat eaters and vegans run into that same problem. Another survival situation that I think a vegan argument could counter my argument with is, well, what if you are with a group of humans? Do you get to kill them to survive? And I would say no. I would say you can't kill other humans in a survival situation in order to eat them and survive. I would say that would be unethical, immoral. And there are certain scenarios which...
Thanks for stopping by as often as you do.
There's a famous football team that got trapped in the mountains. Their plane crashed and they lived in the snow. And
again, you will never find yourself in this situation. You're in a modern life, and Croatia has supermarkets. Don't worry about it.
After their teammates passed away, they would eat.
Like it's like talking about the morality of what's happening now with. I mean, hypotheticals are nice when they actually like show us something about morality. What does the show us about morality? Talking about the most fringe act where you'll never find yourself in that situation, where you have to choose between your cat and dying or something.
Eat their bodies, which in that scenario I would say is ethical and moral, and it makes...
Sure, we agree. Let's continue. Let's move on.
Great sense to survive at that point with your dead companion's bodies. Not to kill your companion in order to eat, because that would be horrible, but instead to
Instead, you kill yourself so your cat can survive. That's what you do.
Except that after they have died, they are consumable. And
I mean, this doesn't matter. This is like literally like it doesn't apply to the ethics of fucking veganism. It's just something that non-vegans tell us so that it shows, those vegans, they don't know what they're talking about. And then we answer it and they just move on to the other stupid shit. Let's deal with the actual ethics of eating animals now, today, in 21st century.
And so that's sort of where I come from, where I can see each scenario allowing a different opportunity, which is how I view most of life. I don't take a lot of black and white stances. I try to take a situational stance. What would I do? What's the most ethical thing to do?
Well, that's what ethics is. Ethics contingent on context.
I think every...
I thought this was a philosophy channel. That's literally what ethics is.
Everything in my life is the trolley problem, where every time I'm in a scenario, it's a trolley problem.
Even non-consequentialist ethics are contingent on context, unless you think morality is objective somehow.
Having coffee that's labeled vegan could be considered a trolley problem. Is this ethically sourced coffee? What does it mean to be ethically sourced? Some people
just do the ethically sourced vegan coffee. It's fine.
People say there's no such thing as ethically sourced coffee. These are questions.
What do you mean fair trade is ethically sourced? It's literally in the label.
I had to ask myself through this process. I'm still deconstructing. And yes, along this journey, I didn't just...
you can just decide that it's more important to you to not exploit and kill animals and just go there. And then, since you know that humans are not that much and most humans survive being in unjust food production, right? They survive, they feed their families. So just choose those who don't survive, unless you change. Just do that.
Look at my food, but I looked at my nail polish, hair, shampoo.
Oh my God. It's whataboutism at this point.
Shampoo, conditioner, moisturizer, face wash, all of them were already vegan. So I didn't have to change much. My nail polish is vegan. Everything I put on my face is vegan. And so that was really easy for me. But
if you wouldn't eat children, why eat animals who experience life a similar level? Even though they're born into different group, yeah? Agree?
Didn't even do that?
Yeah, in fact, if I have questions about whether the thing is moral or not, I just go to the human practice, see what's moral and immoral in case of humans. I kind of triticalize usually animals with children because, kind of. They're a little different, I think. I think they can fend for themselves more than children, right, basically. But if we're talking about intellectual stuff, I just equate them to children and see what's moral in that case.
Before
context matters.
Becoming vegan.
Context matters more than what species someone is.
For these 30 days, the products I was already buying just happened to be vegan. So it's kind of like a win-win. Though I will say as a teenager, I did start paying attention to shampoos and conditioners, and I try really hard not to buy things that are tested on animals, which of course plays into a much bigger...
That doesn't mean they're not they're vegan. There are things that are not tested on animals and are still not vegan.
...role or conversation in regards to animal testing and science and cures for human illnesses. And so there's something to be said about the way humans do things.
Yeah, I think... actually can't make that, but I think so. I can't make the claim that the modern science, medical science, can progress without exploiting animals. It's just immoral to do so. It's just immoral to continue exploiting and killing animals for medical purposes. But also there are alternatives, and we should start giving them more credence than we do, because I really want to know if there are labs in the world that just replaced animal testing with human on chip or something like that. In the end, it's I think, I don't even know what it is, because generally speaking, I think it's more expensive to test on animals than it is on, even on the microfluidic systems, which cost millions, but in the end, you just have this thing and you just use it over and over and over again, something you can't do with an animal. You have to produce animals. You have to let them fuck and produce babies, and then you exploit the babies and kill the babies.
In the way that we make decisions about who gets to suffer on whose behalf.
I don't mind.
Most animal testing are pure pseudoscience. Let's not forget that the only ones who do animal testing are the ones that are okay with harming animals in the first place. So I'm not sure about the second part. I think most researchers would tell me, I don't know, but I don't know if it's if they're just virtue signaling or however else you would call it. But most researchers do tell me that they don't want to do research on animals. But then again, there is there are when they talk alone, everything about it, about the interactions with animal testing indicates that they don't really mind it. I don't know. I really don't know. I think we gotta hurry and test all the alternatives. Here's my thing. Here's what I think. What the fuck does Trevor Noah knows about veganism? Can't wait to hear. What the fuck is Trevor Noah doing here? So we have already science that was done on animals and then was tested on humans and now is confirmed as something can be, right? So we have things like medicine or whatever that gone through all the stages and is now publicly available, right? So recreate all this like the early stages of animal testing on alternatives to animal testing would be really easy. And you could even see if maybe the alternatives are better at predicting what would happen or at the later stages of intervention, because we also have the later stages of intervention in this case. So it would be incredibly easy to test an alternative to animal testing because we already have science that we can replicate, right? We can recreate. So I just never hear about this happening. I just never hear about the alternatives being tested like that. And I don't know why. It really breaks my heart.
Like vegan or not, I think everyone should be able to do what they can. But I don't like it when we make it about intelligence or not. It's like, no. So we're saying like dumb things deserve to be killed.
So there's a famous philosopher, Jeremy Bentham, in the late 18th century, who already made the point. It's not about how smart animals are. It's not about can they talk, can they reason. It's about can they suffer.
I like that.
That's the essential point. There was a recent...
Then why aren't you vegan, Trevor Noah?
Scientific committee who published this big report about when you cook...
Most meat is from baby animals, true.
Crabs
upsetting.
Alive, well, they suffer immensely, right? I think that matters. Look, I'm not fundamentally against eating meat, not at all. What
Why the fuck not? You just made the fucking claim.
I'm against is factory farming.
Yeah, I hate when they do this. They say all the right stuff, but then I'm not against meat.
And I think it's really important to acknowledge as a consumer in the world today.
I think it's just a misunderstanding of what Bentham was saying. He was saying it's not can they reason, can they think, it's about whether they can suffer. Those fuckers, right, the ones on the screen, think that means if you can exploit and kill an animal without suffering, then it becomes moral. That's not what Bentham was saying, I think, right? But I'm a dumbass. Who the fuck knows what if it's correct what I think or not. Bentham was saying if they can suffer, then they become morally as relevant as humans. So if you wouldn't exploit a fucking human woman for milk and then kill her, then it's not moral to do the same in case of a cow. So you can't go to a small local farm, non-suffering farm or whatever the fuck, that doesn't fucking exist. You have to compare, therefore, to the suffering of, not to the suffering, but to the existence of human, to the moral value of a human. And when you do that with a dairy cow, dairy becomes fucking immoral. And so is meat, because they keep talking about meat, but they actually mean everything else. Fuck.
Today is that, 98% of all meat comes from factory farms. So if you say, well, I'm radically going to cut down the...
Let's cut to the fucking chase. Would you take an animal's place in a fucking slaughterhouse? No? You think you wouldn't like that? Go vegan.
The amount of meat I eat, I'm just going to eat meat that was hunted or something like that, or that was really raised in an...
Would you go and hunt down fucking humans, free-range humans? No? Then it's fucking immoral to go hunt down a fucking animal. That's what Bentham meant.
Ethical way. I mean, that's...
Or at least that's how I interpret Bentham. Who fuck knows what Bentham meant.
It's fine, but then please also acknowledge that you will have to eat 5% as much or something.
I think something that comes into play that gets very confusing for all of us is if everything's a mess and nothing matters and everything we do is harm, why try? Because we're not trying to be perfect, we're trying to harm reduce. The dilemma with humans is we create narratives and stories that argue for perfection.
I'm sorry, if you can be perfect in a certain situation, then be fucking perfect. If you... What the fuck is this defeatist situation? right? You do the pros and the cons, and there's some things that you can give up fucking cheese and not go look for like a small local farm or whatever the fuck, which you claim that you visited, but you never stepped your fucking... Well, she did. Her brother is a farmer or whatever.
Perfection.
She's giving herself an out. Yeah, I think so.
In ways that have never been displayed. So there is this myth we tell ourselves, whether we're vegan or meat eaters, that allows us to think there is a level of perfection that's accessible. And I just don't think that's true. I think we can only ever harm reduce. I don't think we can ever be perfect. Whether you think God made you perfect or you can be perfect in action, I don't think there is such a thing, which is again going to play into my idea about labeling people vegan. Apparently,
I actually want to think about it a little more. She's saying we can only harm reduce. We can't be perfect. And I don't understand why she's using those words. Like, if you're saying harm reduce, the perfect in this situation would be harm elimination, isn't it? So why isn't she saying we can only reduce, we can't eliminate harm? I mean, maybe not entirely, completely for everything, but there's certainly some, for that dairy cow, you can eliminate harm. You can eliminate her existence, meaning that if everybody stopped using dairy, dairy cows would not need to exist. That would eliminate the harm done to dairy cows, right? So I think she's playing word games, and I don't have the sign anymore, but I still despise word games. I don't know why she's doing that. I mean, you're a philosopher, my darling. Why?
According to some vegan bubbles, it's very strict who gets to be vegan.
People just need to understand that some vegan people, including me, I'm vegan for 10 years, eat cheese sometimes.
No. No, we don't.
Yeah, because it's harm you can eliminate. And
no one's around and a tree falls in the forest and like it doesn't make a noise.
Stop. Veganism is not performative. It does not require a witness.
Well, if you're vegan and you eat cheese at like 12 p.m. and no one's around, are you still vegan? Just don't let anyone tell you that you aren't vegan.
I'm telling you, you are not vegan. You're like lacto-vegetarian or something. And it's still better than nothing at all, but I just want to be clear to the world, veganism is...
Why is Brian Turner without his shirt on?
Veganism.
It's just kind of weird. The juxtaposition is a little weird.
No animals, no exceptions. That's just the way we like it.
And if it's that strict, I'm going to say it seems probably improbable that it is the objective answer for 8 billion people.
He leaves without a shirt on. If I ever get this jactism, I might leave without my shirt on as well. Meanwhile, I have what's it called? Those what is it? It's a muscle shirt. I have a muscle shirt on. I'm really grown. Look at that. And that's after being weak from a virus for a while. I haven't worked out that much lately.
I am looking for solutions for humanity that are within reason of our nature, not outside of it. And I think sometimes, whether you're vegan or meat eater, there's a belief that we can transcend nature, and that's not true. I've seen arguments from meat eaters saying veganism is...
I would transcend nature. What does that even mean? Why do we have to give any credence to nature? No, Brian Turner is on YouTube as well, I think.
So unnatural. And vegans saying, well, if it's
he's one of them bodybuilders, Brian Turner. You want me to find him? I can try to find him. Brian Turner. There you go. Brian Turner. Brian and Turner official.
Welcome back, everyone. The war rages...
See, he has a t-shirt on. Oh, you can't see. There you go. Now you can see. So, he's doesn't leave without a t-shirt.
unnatural. You should stop using your cell phone and doing all these other things. But see, Brittany, I think we're much like the beaver. And when we make the dam, that is nature. The tornado who...
Stop, we don't live in nature. We shouldn't fucking lie to ourselves. She's lying. Don't lie to yourself. You don't live in nature. You don't need to interact as if you're in nature. You're into 21st century. You walk to a fucking store and you buy a thing in a plastic bag.
Rips through your town. That's nature. We are the tornado. We are the asteroid. We are the beaver. I don't consider anything that we create not nature, because without nature, none of these things would exist. We are in this ecosystem.
What do you mean we're born outside of nature these days? You're born in a fucking hospital. What do you mean without nature we wouldn't exist? For all intents and purposes, we exist without nature right now. Nature makes us feel kind of lovely and fuzzy, but we don't exist in it, most of us at least. Those who do are shit for it. The survivability goes down, the survivability of whatever animals they have in the vicinity goes down. Living in nature is not a good idea, and it's factually incorrect.
And so for me, everything that I see, everything that we create is...
What's up, Nilf?
A part of our nature, whether it's destructive or not destructive. So it's kind of interesting that whether you're vegan or a meat eater, there's this like element of transcending nature.
No, there is no fucking interaction with nature. I mean, at least some vegans would claim there is. I don't think so.
Nature. How do you transcend your nature when you only ever know yourself through that nature?
And now you're using different definition of nature. You use the definition of nature as in the green stuff and the animals in it or whatever the fuck. And now you're using the word nature as in it's your nature. It's a different definition. Those are fucking word games. Why are you playing word games, Brittany?
And this is...
You can't just switch in the middle of a sentence the definition of the word that you are using.
The quandary that I think upsets people because they like to think they're better than their nature. But I don't think that's true.
No, we don't interact with our nature anymore. Who gives a shit if our nature is better or worse?
I think human beings are destructive by nature. We work together through nature.
And therefore you can't fucking improve on your nature? This philosophy part is fucking sucks. Where the fuck is the ethics? You barely talked about the fucking animals.
Because of our nature, we, create because of our nature.
I'm getting upset. I should calm down.
But destroying violence, non-consensual actions, that is also our nature. That's why I say on this channel, humans are going to...
Yeah, nature, and it just switches the definition of nature in the middle of a fucking sentence.
Human? Because there's the...
There are 2 or 3 or 5 definitions of nature. You can't use the definition of nature here, and switch it in the middle of a fucking sentence. It just becomes a straw man.
This belief that humans have convinced themselves of, that they are somehow not humaning. Oh, I'm not like these monsters over here. I'm a different kind of human. You're the same thing. That person over there that's horrible, that's doing this horrible thing that you're like, I would never do that. You're the same. This audacity of thinking...
No, they're more moral because they're not doing the immoral stuff.
You are different.
What do you mean it's the same? What the fuck is this? I thought this was a philosophy channel. What the fuck is this stupid shit? Oh my god, I was supposed to be calm and collected.
Different only comes through action, and that action
I am losing it.
Do think causes a difference in categorization, but not fundamental truth. You are a human. That's just the truth. When we transcend that sort of relationship with nature, I think there's a scale, and I think as I research more.
There again, she switched to a different definition of nature again. That's just what is it called? False equivalence. Oh, stupid word games. It's just stupid.
More into the construct of enlightenment because it is
No, I'm not drinking caffeine. This is a barley drink. I just call it coffee because it reminds me of coffee. But it's a barley drink because I can't drink at this time of day because I won't fall asleep. I won't fall asleep even worse than I don't fall asleep these days. So it's gonna be... So I drink something, not coffee.
The construct, this idea of being one with nature.
I will not rage quit. I never rage quit.
The positive symbiosis we can have with it, I think there is an argument that maybe a more, quote, enlightened person would be vegan. And I think that's interesting because I created a spectrum of introspection, not quite based off enlightenment exactly. That's probably the wrong way to look at my levels, but instead the relationship you have with yourself in relation to existing and in relation to everything outside of yourself, existence. So when I think about myself and I think about having a positive symbiosis with nature itself, with other things outside of myself, I think of how to harm reduce and how to make peace and build bridges. But I also think of how to put down hard lines when it comes to violence you might face. So self-defense is a huge part of where I'm confused about veganism as well. Can you be a vegan if you kill an animal in self-defense?
Yes, oh my fucking God. Again, you will almost never find yourself in this situation. You live in a fucking city.
Right, I'm a little confused about the rules here, but at the same...
It doesn't matter. This question doesn't matter. You can suspend your ethical veganism if you think it contradicts somehow to defend yourself from an animal. Oh my fucking God.
Time, I wouldn't say...
It's like almost, like the answer is always yes. It doesn't even matter. If you stop being vegan and then go on being vegan again after you killed an animal in self-defense, or if you think it's vegan to kill an animal in self-defense, this answer doesn't fucking matter. When we're talking about the question of whether or not we should be exploiting and eating and killing animals for like something as trivial as food that you can replace. And you learned how to replace it in this month. So this doesn't fucking matter. So it's a straw man. It's a fucking whataboutism. It's not relevant to the question of veganism.
Say that I'm like pro-human in the sense that I would never kill a human. I would kill a human in self-defense, but I'm also pretty anti-killing things in general. I think we should stop killing as much as we do, but not...
You're not talking about... Fuck. This is a con. This is a con. You know fuck all about philosophy. Even I know more about philosophy than you, Brittany. You're conning your subscribers.
Eradicate it completely because there are opportunities.
I'm being too harsh, I'm sorry. But you're talking shit 2 miles a minute.
In which killing things could make sense. Having abortions, people who are chronically ill or want assisted suicide, I think are valid. I think there are situations with self-defense in which it makes...
So context, we're going back to just say it's fucking context. So I keep talking about this. It's irrelevant to the question of veganism anyways. I mean, it's a nice question to ask, but let's move on from this and talk about the animals that are being exploited and killed in the trillions. I actually need a minute, so I'll be right back. Oh my fucking God. Okay. I'm calm, I'm okay. Just fucking...
Makes sense. I think eating animals has a place in the universe. I just think that the way...
Okay, I'm actually gonna take a break and I'm gonna talk about something else. Something that when I discovered pissed me off like absolutely crazy, but in a different way. This is unfucking acceptable. This is unacceptable that Dalal doesn't have 1,000 subscribers. He was 11 subscribers away when I discovered this a few days ago. Now he's 8 subscribers away. Put one in the chat if you're not subscribed to Dalal. Oh, people are... Alpha Cars, subscribe to Dalal, now. Maybe you learn something, you piece of shit. Tone, subscribe to Dalal, now. Alpha Karos is being a piece of shit, obviously. So here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna grab the link if you subscribe to them. Pig's Dream, please subscribe to Dalal. You're gonna grab the link as well, and you're gonna send it to one of your friends on various wherever the fucks, because it's fucking ridiculous that Dalal doesn't have 1,000 subscribers. It's absolutely stupid. I'm doing it as well. There, I'm sending it to a friend on Twitter. Hey, you heard about this channel? Funny as fuck. Link. There. I send it to a friend. Please send Dalal's YouTube channel to a friend with the recommendation that they watch it. Because this is horrendous. This is the most unjust thing in the fucking world, that Dalal doesn't have 1,000 subscribers. What the actual fuck? We'll forgive him, Pig's Dream, and subscribe again. I have no sway. I have zero sway. Shit. It sucks being a small channel. Meanwhile, being a really, so far, crappy philosopher gets you 94,000 subscribers. Jesus. This is so frustrating. Let's go.
Way we do things is wrong. I saw this TikTok of a woman who, basically said, food grows on trees and water falls from the sky and somehow we ruined it. And basically, this is because of our nature. I think human beings move within their nature. We do destroy things. You would think, as a species who thinks it's so smart and so evolved and so enlightened, it would figure out that nature itself provides everything that we need and we don't actually need to kill or be destructive. But because it is within our nature to do so, this is the result. I think all of humanity is a reflection of us as a whole. I don't think any one individual is responsible, but I do think every individual contributes to the way that the world is now, myself included. So I'm not exempt from the world being a reflection of us as a whole. The state of the world that exhausts you and feels just impossible to get better and makes you so sad and angry, that's you. The world is a reflection of us as a whole. And I think vegans have a very good argument, not exactly about this, but that coincides with it, which is, why do we unnecessarily cause suffering? So now we have to talk about mitigating suffering.
Veganism.
I can't do it.
They think it's like they don't eat animals. And the fact is, veganism to me, it's about love and respecting sentient beings. To just understand, like,
no, you don't have to love them, you don't have to respect them. Respect is a weird concept anyways. Like, respect, generally speaking, has to be earned. Fuck. It's about not violating their rights.
they want to live. And so part of it is, if you can develop in your heart the compassion for living beings, then we wouldn't be so quick.
Compassion is not the same as loving and respecting somebody. Compassion is almost emotionally detached, or can be at least. Compassion is about seeing an injustice and doing something about it. People don't know the meaning of words, or they're using words in a way that is like just devoid of meaning at this point.
Quick to go to war.
I'm too pissed off, guys. I'm not gonna lie, like my pressure is fucking through the roof.
And suffering is something I'm deeply interested in. I think we should suffer wisely, but I think humanity suffers so unwisely. I think we suffer unwisely at least 90%. I do. I think 90% of your life is unwise suffering and like 10% is wise suffering.
Why are we talking about humans now in a conversation about fucking animals?
There's always going to be suffering in life. If you move away from the violent and graphic imagery of factory farming, you might think of milking a dairy cow as something compassionate. But when you learn what it takes to milk a dairy cow, you realize that it's actually quite cruel. But look how it's framed in this video as something wholesome and loving, when in reality, we're forcing impregnation constantly with no reprieve just for the benefit of dairy milk that should have gone to a calf.
Let's discover how cows make milk. A cow starts to produce milk once her first...
Oh, the fucking music in the videos about animal exploitation, Jesus.
First calf is born.
You're close to tapping out. Suffer? No, PJ. I'm not allowing you. If I have to suffer, you have to suffer as well. We're in this together. God fucking damn it.
Usually happens when a cow is around 2 years old.
Like, at least enjoy my suffering.
Humans, a cow is pregnant with her calf for 9 months and can only make milk after giving birth to a calf. Farmers then milk the cows to produce milk for us too. The first milk a cow...
For us too, no, it's 99.9% of the time, 9.99999% of the time is instead of the calf.
makes is very important for her calf as it contains antibodies to help the calf avoid diseases. This milk is called...
Where's my rights? I'm an animal too. You don't have rights, goddammit. You've entered the dictatorship of the chat of VPM.
Called colostrum. Cows are usually milked at the same time twice a day, and on most farms, they are milked in the morning and then again in the afternoon. Generally, each cow is milked.
And then they suffer for the entire night because it's not like you putting a calf in the stud.
For 10 months of the year and then takes a 2-month break before they have their next calf.
Right? But there doesn't need to be this amount of unnecessary suffering. And so that's a very good argument from the vegans. Why do I need...
No, vegans don't suffering usually. We talk about rights. Even if there wasn't suffering, we would fucking oppose the exploitation and killing. Oh, in case of some vegans, just the exploitation.
Need to eat meat if I don't need to eat meat.
This chicken is clearly in a bad way.
Oh, fuck. The Cornish crosses are a fucking abomination that shouldn't exist. Like, it's even worse. It's not about suffering. This animal shouldn't exist. That's the position of vegans. She's strong. I thought you... Did you look selectively, Brittany? Did you just choose the stuff that talks to you as a consequentialist?
And there's nothing we can do about it. That's the worst bit about...
I mean, I would always listen to the consequentialist position of vegans as well, right? Of consequentialist vegans. But I then hold my own as a special deontologist. And forgive me, Jeremy, who thinks that I am a consequentialist.
About it. I feel so sorry for this little animal that's been born into this world just to have a fate like this. Just laying on the floor in distress, pain, confusion.
And I don't wanna create I don't want people to think that I don't care about suffering. I care. It's just not the main point. The animals shouldn't exist in the first place to suffer. These animals only exist because of human greed. It's pretty sped up, but okay.
No mother, no understanding as to why they are here. They're just here. What a short life to just live and die.
Just suffering to death.
To death. I'm literally watching this guy slowly die in front of my eyes. If this was any other animal, we'd be taking this animal to the vet.
Well, why don't you take them to the vet, please? I'm asking. Why don't you do it anyways?
Instantly. We'd be paying money to get...
Well, no, pets... Well, I guess pets do exist. I guess we exploit and do awful shit to pets as well. I guess the pugs with the faces that can barely breathe, guess they suffer too.
To get this animal back to a good state again. Yet, here I am, witnessing this animal die in front of my eyes.
What is the desire I have to cause that unnecessary suffering? So
I'm gonna reduce the speed now. I don't know if she has anything of value to say, frankly.
This brings me back to this question.
I had bigger expectations because I think the beginning was generally good. I was really hoping that I would have very little to say, but...
I had for the vegans, in a survival situation, I would...
Stop talking about the fucking survival situation. We're not in that situation. Talk about the subject matter, please. Stay on the subject matter.
Consider it necessary suffering to eat an animal in order to survive. But in a privileged society, and this is where pillars plays in, where I have access to fruits and vegetables and pastas and things that aren't animal, right? Then that begs...
I know, I just don't want to miss the context. I don't want to later say something that she addressed. Olawale.
The question, why am I eating an animal if I don't have to? Right? I think there's something here. There's some conversation here that's important. Now, I do want to answer some questions that I think I saw along my journey here. I just want to throw these ideas out with you that I did see and I thought was interesting. One of the things that came up along this thinking was a question from certain vegan communities about eating flesh. Like, oh, how can you eat flesh? Why are you eating flesh? I think because we're animals. I don't ask the lion why he eats flesh. I eat it for the same reason.
Should have played the fucking bingo. But you know, I'll give it. Fuck, I forgot to be charitable. I'll strawman not strawman. I'll steelman the goddamn thing. Yeah, I think sometimes vegans get a little hung up on the matter of flesh more than on the matter of if it's moral or not, right? If it stops being a question of morality, it starts being a matter of disgust, which I get. It's disgusting to me as well. But we shouldn't abandon the question of morality when we talk about flesh, right? And eating flesh. Because there exists ethical flesh, right? Generally speaking. I know some vegans don't like me talking like that because I don't know if we should respect the dead or something like that. It's disgusting, it hurts feelings or whatever the fuck, but if we're talking about morality, there exists flesh that doesn't have any moral implications, that doesn't exploit an animal, that doesn't kill an animal. And, you know, that's where we should make the separation between morality and personal disgust or whatever, right? And say, well, this is not a moral question, then, you know, then I wouldn't, but I guess you can, right? Kind of situation. But we're animals, that's why we eat flesh is kind of stupid. Is, of course, the stupidest thing on earth. Although she's at least morally consistent. She did say we are animals, we are as animals. So I guess it's at least morally consistent when usually, but lions though is not morally consistent.
Reason, genuinely, that's a belief I have. I think humans eat flesh for the same reason.
There, I was charitable.
The lion does or the bear does, right? I think animals have a level of consciousness. I think they can be more aware and self-aware than other animals. Same with humans. I think like my cat is I call her like a human cat, but she's really just like a non-human animal with a consciousness that I think is like very much interacting with me on a daily basis versus I see some animals that aren't as interactive. And I think this coincides with two specific thoughts. One, this actually works in the religious sense towards the vegan argument. When I think of Adam and Eve and being raised Catholic and I think about the Garden of Eden and I think about this paradise God created, he gave Adam dominion over animals, but I don't remember any scripture about him eating.
I'm definitely skipping the religious part. Fuck. How do I know where to skip? I don't know where to
those animals. I just remember them eating from the fruits, the trees, right? I don't remember him eating animals until they got kicked out of the garden. Then they experienced pain, nudity, shame, birthing, eating, sacrificing animals. And it kind of begs the question, and I've heard some theories that Jesus...
I mean, it's important. It is important to interact with the religious aspect of it. I usually do interact when I'm in a situation of, for instance, Discord outreach. It's usually with religious people. So I know how to get them on
might have been vegan himself, whatever that means. Why do Christians eat meat? Do they only eat it as a form of sin outside the garden? Or is there a meat eating had in the garden? I'm a little confused there. Now,
yeah, she's just trying to be all-encompassing. And as a result, on the ethical side, she was not all-encompassing, I think.
Minus the Christians, the other thought I have...
She's trying to be thorough, but some of the stuff was truly a little bit... not smart.
That kind of coincides with this idea of consciousness and sentience, which is an argument I hear from vegans that a little bit confuses me. I don't think I value sentience as much as I value quality of life. And I think there's an argument to be had here. But do you guys remember Timothy Treadwell?
Yeah, Bianca, I get it.
Well, Timothy was a person who believed that grizzly bears could understand him, and he spent many summers in Alaska.
And then he was eaten by a bear, wasn't he?
Kind of proving that point.
I don't know.
But then he died because one of the grizzly bears ate him and his girlfriend. But I want to talk about this because I actually agree with Timothy's premise that animals have enough consciousness.
That's where part of nature gets you, kind of.
Some animals, same with humans, right, have a level of consciousness that allows them to understand you.
She's about, I'd say 10 feet from me to the camera. Hi, Cracker. Hi, Cracker. The bear right next to me is Cracker, and she's enjoying a fish right now. I love you. That's my friend. I'm out in the prime cod of the big green. Behind me is Ed and Rowdy.
Okay,
Members
we can definitely...
will take me out and becoming sub-adult. They will chop me into bits and pieces. There's here, and she has...
This is a little weird.
I think what...
kind of what I did understand him, had a communication with him, and had a relationship with him. But the bear who killed him, kind of dead in the eyes. Kind of what I call an animal brain versus a human animal brain.
No, they're just fucking fuck. They're just animals. God damn it.
And no humans are animals.
Kind of dead in the eyes. Oh my god. She found the immoral bear who ate a human.
This is just the way my language works to help me categorize people and animals differently and specific to their consciousness. I do believe my cat understands me. I do believe when I see other...
Hey, did we make any progress on Delal's subscription? Or is it only the one that I bullied? Oh, one more, okay. But 6 more, guys. Send it to people, please. I beg you. Please send it to people. Why is it... looks weird. Twitter is really weird lately. I mean, in different ways than Twitter is usually weird.
They're cats, they're not getting me. I feel like they're too animal brains. I think this happens with all of us because I do believe we're animals. So I don't mean this to be derogatory. I mean this to be matter of fact that animal life, all animal life on a spectrum has a spectrum of consciousness. And I think we're discovering that animals can judge us. They see us. They fix themselves with medical care.
Deep in the Indonesian rainforest, a small step for a wild orangutan and a giant leap for our understanding of how alike we are to non-human primates. That's where researchers say Rakis, a male orangutan in his 30s, was injured in a fight back in 2022. The team documenting this quarter-sized wound under his right eye and another in his mouth. Dr. Isabella Laumer, a behavioral biologist and one of the study's lead researchers, says they followed the orangutan to observe what he would do and were astounded to see him chewing the leaves of the liana plant.
So it's quite rare that they eat from it.
Known to local humans for its pain-relieving properties. The researchers' findings published this week in the journal Scientific did not end there. They then spotted Rakis using the plant to make a paste from the crushed leaves and sap and applying it to his facial injury, marking the first time an animal has been seen using medicine to treat a skin wound. This discovery adds to growing...
That's a bit far-fetched assumption, though. Can't call it medicine either. Medicine is this thing that... oh, never mind, I don't care.
Research suggesting animals...
I lost the will to live during this
may
video.
Self-medicate with varying degrees of sophistication.
They form families and tribes. They have languages. I mean, we're learning so much about animals and non-human animals that I think we're going to realize in decades to come that they're not that different from us. And I think that that's going to be hard for...
I appreciate that, Leon. Yeah, don't unsubscribe to subscribe.
For us to process.
It's just sickening to the core that Dalal doesn't have thousands of subscribers. Just sickening.
But I think it is going to, I think the data will show that. And so that for me allows me to have a much better understanding of veganism now through a philosophical lens.
Wait, am I subscribed? Yeah, I'm subscribed. Just had to check for a second.
The better understanding that this animal creature that is non-human is having a very similar relationship to self that I am, but yet it's different. And I do think it's different.
Maybe he will come out of hibernation. He's been around for so many years and still doesn't have 1,000 subscribers. It's fucking heartbreaking. Maybe if we get him to 2,000 subscribers, he can finally monetize the goddamn thing and go back to doing stuff.
And this is where we kind of butt heads with the vegans and the meat eaters. I don't feel entitled to animal...
Hey, vegan gays, what's up?
...flesh. I don't feel entitled to humans or their spaces or their lands. I don't even feel entitled to existing, if I'm going to be honest.
Vegan gays, something heartbreaking is going on. Dalal doesn't have 1,000 subscribers. What the actual fuck? Isn't that the saddest thing you've ever heard?
I just think that I do exist, and I think I am a human, and I think I evolved to consume the things around me, and I just want to do it with more harm reduction in mind. I don't think I'm special, and I don't think any of us are. I think we're just simply here, but we create myth around our uniqueness. God made us in his image. We're special. We're intellectual. We're so high IQ. We're so special. But I don't believe any of that. I don't think our IQ makes us special. I don't think God made us special. I don't think anything about us is special. But I do think we're specific. And specific isn't special. We're just specific. So we're having a specific relationship with our biological evolution that allowed us at this point to have the thought.
Yeah, I generally agree, actually. Generally agree with this point.
Hey.
Is it okay to continue on 1.5, Bianca?
What if I don't eat animals? And that is pretty cool. But it also brings into another debate.
I mean, I just go to the different conclusion than she is, right? She's getting to the conclusion of, I'm not special, therefore I'm just going to make a little bit of effort.
That I was learning about on this journey of veganism that I think really sets into play the struggle people are going to have with eating animals and not eating animals. And that's the Pokemon dilemma. The Pokemon dilemma is whether or not you would eat a Pokemon if Pokemon were real.
Do people in the Pokemon world eat Pokemon? What would the tastiest Pokemon be if they ate Pokemon? And here's the thing, friends, both of those questions have been answered. Yeah, people eat Pokemon. The franchise doesn't even try to hide that fact. Like Appleton, the evolved form of Applin, whose Pokedex entry...
I'm going to slow it down a little bit.
Literally says that children will eat it as...
We're close to finishing anyway, so it's all right.
the snack. Appleton. Its body is covered in sweet nectar, and the skin on its back is especially yummy. Children used to have it as a snack. And then there's Farfetch'd, a Pokemon that was apparently so delicious it was hunted to the point of extinction. Slowpoke's tail is considered to be a delicacy. Shuckle eats berries that mix with its body fluids to become a delicious juice.
And I think the conversation around eating Pokemon is actually probably a better one to have in relation to eating meat. Would you eat a Pokemon, yes or no? Honestly, I feel like I would eat a Magikarp.
Oh, you're giving me a shortcut to reducing and increasing speed. I need you to shift and... I understand. No, it just goes back and forth. It doesn't do what you are saying that it should do. Oh, okay. No, it does.
I feel like I would eat a lot of the Pokemon, but none of the Pokemon.
Fine. If I remember, that's what I'll use. But, guys, I'm kind of old.
Pokemon at the same time. Like, there are just certain types of Pokemon that I would definitely not want to eat. But then I could kind of see myself eating some of the Pokemon. And then maybe I would see myself eventually not eating any of the Pokemon. And when I asked family and friends, would you eat a Pokemon or not, they kind of give similar answers, where some of them were like, oh, no.
No, you fucked up, you know? Why would you eat a Pokemon? Why would you eat a cow? God damn it. It's kind of fucked up talking like that. Makes me physically disgusted.
Oh, not at all. And some of them were like, maybe.
But also it's fucking unethical.
Certain Pokemon over not other Pokemon. Same with animals. Like, we eat certain animals, but not other animals. And I think the conversation is meant to help us have better conversations, answer better.
Yeah, it's funny that the Pokemon is supposedly like smiling under
animals, but not other
when he's peeled.
Animals. And I think the conversation is meant to
like fucked up.
To help us have better conversations, answer better questions, deconstruct. I'm not sitting here making a prescription. I'm just saying, oh, that's a really good question. Would I eat a Pokemon? I think I might, but I don't know that I would seek it out. And the fact that we seek out animal consumption is interesting, but also not surprising considering the meat industry is really good at marketing, considering that we...
Fictionally, yes, Pig's Dream. Fictionally, Pokemon is sentient, but they're a fictional character, so who cares? It's a non sequitur question.
We sort of take for granted living in modern times and having meat so accessible to us. I used to believe I could never enjoy a full meal and feel satisfied without meat being at the center of my food.
Yeah, exactly, Oliwali. In Pokemon world, they are sentient, but they're mythical. Not a mythical, they're made-up creatures, so...
Food until I did this.
So in real life, no, Pokemon are not sentient because they don't exist. And part of being sentient is to exist at the least. And then you can have sentience or you cannot have sentience. But if you cannot be sentient without existing yet, I guess one day AI could, without existing, become sentient. I don't know.
Challenge and
without existing in the physical world, I mean.
I was like, oh, I don't need meat at the center of my meals. And it really helps me feel like I'm minimizing suffering by not seeking out factory...
The food she made looks fantastic.
Farmed animals at this point. Factory farmed animals are experiencing the most suffering.
What do you mean by pussy has proteins? Bianca.
So unnecessary. It is so unwise.
I mean, if you cut up a pussy and actually eat it, yeah. But metaphorically eating pussy wouldn't increase your protein intake.
Is the amount of stuff.
Maybe just by a little bit if you get a little extra stuff.
They're experiencing.
To discuss how these chickens are...
But then it would be secretion and not the actual pussy.
...killed, we need to understand the language...
Am I taking this question too seriously? I'm just that brain dead by the end of this video.
...that the animal agriculture industry uses. Processing is the term used to describe turning living animals into meat. Stunning refers to rendering animals unconscious before they...
Oh, she puts these clips in and then she's like, but should we eat meat though? I don't know.
Killed. Slaughterhouses use two main processes to kill chickens, electric stunning and gas chamber stunning. Electric stunning begins for the birds. Use the chickens to our electric cutter. Carcasses that some are then fully the throats.
And I can part of me that I can do
conscious.
I mean,
and so again, for me, I can sit here and think, okay, well, I already know to cook. I can eat vegetarian. I can eat vegan. I can do this pretty easily. Why aren't I doing it? What part of me is still open to eating meat? And I think it's the part of me that knows that if I was in a survival situation, I would. It's the part of me.
You see, she's conflating. She's using one context to excuse another. I thought we agreed that morality is all about context. You talked about it, Brittany. You said that morality, I mean, you didn't say it in those words, but that's what you basically were alluding to. But now you're substituting a thing with a certain context, with a thing of a different context, to excuse that thing in that immoral context.
Me that knows, one, it tastes delicious, but also it's a part of me that doesn't feel like it's quite immoral, so much as the situation can make it unethical, like factory farming.
Or any farming. Or also hunting. When you have a fucking access to all the vegan food you want. Including the vegan food that you boycott.
I also think it's something I'm going to have to dive into and really dissect it myself as I move forward.
I think vegan gays actually should talk to Brittany. I think I'm way too much of a small potatoes to have any kind of sway there, but vegan gays, I think you should debate this person.
I also, and this is really hard, I think to process, I also don't...
Yeah, she talked about this. She would probably kill a human. But then she takes that context and extrapolates it on just going to a supermarket and buying meat, I think.
Don't value existing the same way other humans do. I value the quality of our...
You sent the pussy protein meme to me. Well, we can't miss that. We gotta address that urgently, Bianca. Thank you very much. Oh, God. Wait. There you go. So, when you run out of protein powder and the anabolic window is closing, you can get protein from eating vagina, the enzymes. So you were talking about the secretion and not the actual eating of a pussy. The enzymes found in the liquid that a woman's vagina secretes contain a fair amount of protein, and if consumed by the human body, can be used as a supplement. Can it though? Wouldn't we have to farm vagina havers for this to be applicable? But the meme is interesting. I'm just too dead today, Bianca. I've killed my sense of humor by watching Brittany for an hour. Okay, I'm serious. Did you send this to your friends though? Did you send the link to Dalal to your friends? Because I think 1,000 subscribers could sway Dalal to come back.
Our existence.
Absolutely disgusting that Dalal doesn't have 1,000 subscribers. It's absolutely gross.
And I do think the quality of existence for
What did she say about me? Would she want to debate me? Well, Oluwale says that she was, or at least her mods were blocking people in the live stream she was having. But maybe you can reach out to her. Let me drop a link to her channel so that vegan gays could vegan gays her into submission. How about that? Give me a sec. There you go, like that. Yeah. We believe in you, vegan gays. Maybe you can answer some of her questions.
Factory farmed animals right now is just so unethical. It's just without question. I also think the quality of life that humans are having globally is out of the question unethical. The way we sit here and feel so comfortable knowing there's a genocide, the way we sit here and watch the Trump administration target trans people, the way we just openly are allowing Nazism to become a trend again, we as a species are incredibly violent and destructive. And sometimes that violence is justified, like an abortion.
I'd say you have less ability to do anything about all of those things, but you have so much ability to do something about not exploiting and killing animals for your pleasure. Brittany, you equating again, you changing the context again. The context is you can do something really, really tangible about your personal consumption of exploitation and killing of animals. You can do nothing about the genocide in Palestine. You arguably can do absolutely zero things about the fact that Nazis are a thing again. Do what you can and stop excusing your consumption with all the other. It's literal whataboutism. Literal whataboutism.
Right? And sometimes the violence isn't justified. But I try to ask myself, where would I be if I was basically in a positive, symbiotic...
In what context are you exclaiming gay?
Joyful situation. And I think I'd be in a situation where I was having more harmony with life outside of myself, more harmony with the universe. But I also think a part of me has to radically accept that in 100 years, they could also find out that plants are sentient. I remember I was nannying this baby because I used to be a professional nanny before I was a full-time YouTuber. And he went...
Oh, you are gay. I didn't know that. That's fantastic news for you, vegan gays.
Around, he was kicking the flowers. And I said, hold up, you can't kick flowers. I said, they're living, they exist. They're like living beings. You can't kick...
I think I'm also gay.
Flowers.
I don't know.
You can pick a flower and you can hand it to me and be dignified about it, but you can't kick them. It wasn't that the killing the flowers was unethical or immoral. It was the way that he destructively chose to kill them. And
no, there's no moral implication to the flowers themselves. To kick flowers, to destroy flowers. It's not nice. It's not nice to the owner of the flowers, maybe, but flowers themselves don't have like a moral importance.
And I do think there's a difference. I know a lot of vegans don't like it. They don't like the idea that there's a dignified way to kill things, but I think there is. Same thing with pro-lifers. They don't think it's dignified to have an abortion. I think you can have...
Yeah, let's spread the gay. Did you hear, people? The pussy has fucking proteins. So there you go. Just go gay.
Have a dignified abortion.
Let's gay everybody in the chat.
Same with pro-lifers. They don't think it's dignified to have assisted suicide. I think you can be dignified in wanting to die. If you can live how you want, you should be able to die how you want. But I think all of us are just pushing and pulling our own ideas against each other, and we're really
well, that's the problem. That's the issue right now, Brittany. You should stick to the question of veganism when talking about veganism. You shouldn't what about all over the fucking place.
Struggling to accept that we're just like an evolved species on a planet, and all of us trying to be perfect is never going to happen. But I think you can get close by being curious and open-minded. I think you can get to the point where you can...
Generally speaking, I don't know. Maybe she made some people vegan, actually. Maybe. It could be that some people are seeing through the bullshit and actually, yeah, I'll take that and I'll become vegan. Maybe.
Suffer wisely, where you can be a little bit more...
I mean, she's even for all the bullshit, she's making a pretty good case for veganism.
Cognizant of people's pain and try to mitigate it, where you can mitigate your own. But I don't think we're there yet as a species.
I mean, not really for veganism, but for a beginning, maybe.
I don't think we're in that part of evolution. I don't think we're in that part of society.
PJ, how dare you not being gay? How dare you?
Right? And so I know, as a person who works on herself on a daily basis, I know how imperfect I am. So I would never want the world to be perfect. And one thing that I learned while
I mean, if we're talking about proteins, the other stuff has protein as well. So you can be gay.
Researching all of this is that veganism itself isn't
You just switch to alternative protein, PJ. You switch from pussy protein to the dick protein. It's fine.
So the dilemma with making the prescription...
Are you against alternative proteins, PJ, is the question.
Of veganism on everybody is that you don't know what kind of vegan you're going to be. I mean, there were some vegans during the BLM protests. It was very confusing. Who were basically saying they don't have time to focus on Black lives because they have to focus on animal.
Who the fuck said that? Who the fuck said that? Did anybody say that?
Lives.
I mean, the reality is...
Shoot me now. Oh, man.
There's always atrocity. There's constant suffering in the world. That's why all of us do.
By the way, this is probably uncharitable to Unnatural Vegan, what she said. Unnatural Vegan is probably about to say that her main focus is on veganism. It's because it's the thing that she can do and she feels most strongly about. She's probably not going to say, well, I hate BLM because I'm vegan or something like that.
What we do, that's why those of us who are promoting a cause, that's why we do that. How do you pick and choose? Why do Vegans have to talk about Black Lives Matter right now, but we don't have to talk about Muslims in China. We don't have to talk about Syria. We don't have to talk about Venezuela. We don't have to talk about Bolsonaro. Holy crap. I mean, I don't understand. Is it because it's the US?
It sounds like an internal conversation anyways. So beside the point, Brittany.
And the US is just the world. I mean, I hope that's not it, right? I don't think anyone has a good answer.
She also is doing whataboutism.
Answer for that. It's just that this is a big thing going on right now. It's totally, I mean, it's hard to even get news about the coronavirus, even though, hey, guys, there's still a pandemic if you forgot.
Yeah, I think there's something there that doesn't.
Also, it's not vegan said. It's one vegan said who's a questionable character in our movement. Come on, man. This is the definition of a cherry picking straw man.
Quite sit well with me, and I think that's because at the end of the day, I do think human lives are more important than animal lives, and I think you can.
Well, you just spent like an hour saying that human lives are not better than animal lives. Are more important than animal lives. You said that you would save your cat over a human neighbor from a burning building. What the fuck? You did also say that, culturally, you have no, culturally is the word I used. You'd also said that you prioritize human life for some reason, but you didn't explain it because generally you said you think both no human life is better than animal life. No human life is more important than animal life. So you contradicted yourself, and now you take that strawman contradiction of yourself and you continue with it. You run with it. What the actual fuck?
Focus on both. I think choosing to focus on animal life over Black lives in a state in which the government is.
You don't have to. This is a straw man, anyways. You don't have to. You can be vegan and support BLM if that's what you choose to do.
Targeting them and.
I mean, you literally, okay, you don't have to be like a fucking vegan activist. You can be a vegan, not being a vegan activist. You can just be a vegan who supports all the other anti-blah-blahs, right? You can concentrate on humans while also being fucking vegan, right? So this is, again, just like using the context that has nothing to do with veganism to excuse why you're not actually ethically vegan, it seems.
You know what, that feels very icky.
Although you almost that with minor consequentialist issue there.
To me, and I think that person got a proper amount of backlash, when that.
She's a natural vegan, she just gets backlashes.
Whole controversy.
So why are you using her as an example? If you know that she got backlash, why are you using her as an example? I hate when people do this. Frankly, guys, I can't live anymore. Seriously, I hate when people do this. Why are you using it as an example of something that is so perverse that she got a backlash from fucking vegans?
Controversy was happening.
Maybe.
And again,
yeah, vegan gays, save us. We suffered. Maybe we should suffer some more on your channel as well.
I think that's the dilemma we're going to face is I don't want to pick or choose non-human life or human life over the other. I want us to learn how to be in symbiosis, positive symbiosis. I want us to learn to mitigate suffering and amplify joy. I want us to be healthy.
But this is the case where you can eliminate suffering. You don't have to have a concept of mitigating suffering. You can just eliminate, right? If suffering and pleasure is what you care about. I'm trying to be charitable to the consequentialist position, or in this case, straight up utilitarian position. Yeah, you can go from utilitarianism to the vegan position. You can get there, I think, maybe. But in any case, you can just functionally do it, even if ethically you're not there, I guess. I guess that's where she's coming. That's where she's going.
And I think that's going to look different.
I'm just a little exhausted from the stretch of fucking strawman equivocation fallacy and just a huge amount of whataboutism. I'm just exhausted at this point. But we're almost there, so we're going to finish it.
And for all of us, but I think
we're going to be strong, guys.
there is a direction we can head into. Now, part of this is you sort of have to believe in climate change and the sanctity of
vegan gays, what is this? I'll be nice. Call her a piece of shit immediately after she comes on stream.
Animal life and the wanting human life to have a better state of being. Like, I think the problem we're going to face for this whole discussion is I don't think humans are at a place right now where they care enough about suffering. I think they pretend to. I think they do. I think it's really hard for us to care about suffering.
Then just care about rights instead. Dude, you're a fellow autistic. Caring about justice is in your nature. Damn it.
And I think it's because it kind of makes you crazy realizing no matter what you do, things will suffer. And so what people do is they...
Nilf, he means Alex O'Connor, because Brittany responded to Alex O'Connor, and apparently there was a shit show in the comments. And all vegans who tried to, make any points were, blocked. That's what Olivale says, right? Olivale, maybe tell us what happened in, because I think I missed it.
Panic, and then they just implode and they double down. I would say...
Yeah, I said it correctly. Okay.
Say radically accepting that everything is suffering allows you to...
No! You yourself were talking about context. The context of suffering through dental work is not the same as the context of suffering of an animal that you caused that suffering, right? An animal having their dental work is not the same as the animal having their throat slit or animal being exploited for 6 years on a farm. Everything is suffering is just a horrible heuristic when it comes to our exploitation of animals.
Be less bad versus trying to be more good. I don't need you...
Look, I accept the fellow utilitarian vegans and all, but utilitarianism so doesn't jive with me for this stupid reason, right? It kind of loses context when you talk about suffering.
To be more good.
And context is everything in morality. I don't even understand.
I just need you to be less bad. And I think that would help the world much more than trying to be more good, right? So with that said, how am I going to practice being less bad?
So we got here, people. This is the end of the 30-day vegan journey for Brittany. Let's see what she learned.
Being less bad, to me personally, you don't have to do this. I'm not making a prescription. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing since I'm pretty transparent with my audience. For the next whatever long, because I realized by the end of the 30 days, I did start to feel very trapped in the fact that I had to keep doing it versus letting it flow naturally from my own desires. So I'm not going to put a time limit like a...
Good job, vegan gays. I knew you were the right person for the job.
Day limit or the next 6 months, the next year limit on my consumption of animal goods. Instead, I'm going to say from now on and until I change my mind, because I'm allowed to change my mind, and not necessarily meaning going back or forth.
Oh, you're going to change your mind on reducing suffering. You're going to change your mind on reducing suffering, you think? For what would be the justification to change your mind on reducing suffering, Brittany?
Just, I'm allowed to change the construct I've created, okay? Because I think life is a construct. I will, and I wrote it down, not be buying flesh products for myself, right? I think that's really important. So bye-bye chicken wings. I miss you already.
I was wrong. My prediction was that she's going to include chicken.
Bye-bye bacon, bye-bye all the things I used to buy. Because I think at this point it's unnecessary considering they're factory farmed animals. If I could guarantee they weren't factory farmed, if I could...
Oh, I fucking guarantee that the murder was without suffering. Then it would still be immoral, Brittany. Would you always ask yourself, would you take the place of a pig who had a happy life and is about to be slaughtered at 6 months old or at 1 year old or whatever? Would that be moral bacon? Moral flesh?
Guarantee the animal died as quickly as possible. I can guarantee they were, healthy, then maybe, but at this point I can't guarantee it, so I'm just gonna avoid it for now. One of the caveats to this is that I won't be buying flesh, but I will not technically be avoiding consuming it. So if my partner makes himself a dish and he wants me to taste it, I'll taste it. If my neighbors bring me food as a surprise and they're like, oh, Brittany, I made you food, I'm gonna eat it because that's my...
Oh, because respecting somebody's effort 20-minute effort is more important than an animal's life. For some reason, some weird reason. I thought, like, is this you fallaciously reasoning that if you would save a baby over a cat when you're driving, right, and you have a baby and a cat and you would run over a cat to save the baby, right? Is that you think it's equivalent to this, the moral question of your neighbors had a 20-minute effort of making a meal, and you would eat that so that they don't feel bad for making you a meal or whatever. Is that more important for not participating in the exploitation and killing of that animal? Or the next animal, because then your neighbors will learn that it's okay to make you meat, right? If we're talking about the consequentialist thing, right? The consequences of you eating that meal would be that they will create another meal for you. They won't learn that they shouldn't cook flesh for you, right?
That's just what the vibe is. You know, I'm not gonna let that food go to waste. If I am rarely in a situation where I want like a cheesecake or something, I might eat a cheesecake, right? I'm not gonna be that strict about it, but I am gonna make an effort to not gorge, to not focus in.
I mean, she's even contradicting the health things, right? She started this video with health, and she said ditching dairy was the thing that reduced by 50% my suffering. So now she doesn't even give a shit about her own suffering. And again, I'm making like an internal critique because I generally, don't use those kind of reasonings, right? The suffering reduction stuff. I talk about animal rights usually, but
I mean, if you looked at my calendar of what I used to eat, so before I was vegan, I had meat every day, guaranteed. Meat every single day, guaranteed. Then I went vegan and I had no meat, okay? And then one technical day, I did accidentally eat a gluten-free chocolate bar and had dairy in it, and I was mortified, but it was delicious, and I have no regrets, but also I did not intend to eat it, but I did. Now, if you go to Brittany now, it will look more like no meat, right? Except for tasting on occasion probably my partner's food, in which my partner also will not purposely encourage me to eat their food. My partner understands and respects my position. They're not going to.
Yeah, Neil, fair, but people expect me to rage about it, so. Yeah, it's just reducing. It's okay. It's better than nothing, I guess.
Eat this meat or our marriage is over. Like, that's not what we're doing, right? So on occasion, I might taste their food.
She made almost none of it was about actual veganism.
To be like, oh yeah, that's good. Like, that does taste good, right? They're on their own journey. I have no requirements of my partner doing what I'm doing in this regard, because as a couple, we already have a base for what our values are and we're on the same page.
Was she though? Was she arguing for veganism? Maybe just a little bit.
So anything we do extra is just an A+, because again,
I mean, she made a few good points. Okay. Charitable VPM again have entered the building. She made a few really good points. She was talking about how, generally speaking, there is no morally relevant difference between people and animals, and non-human animals, she even called them. She didn't use those words, but I'm paraphrasing to fit our language. So that was good. She did talk about... yeah, that's it, I think. She talked about factory farming a little bit. And the rest was completely irrelevant to veganism, I think. Am I charitable? Please, somebody remind me if she made another good, relevant to veganism point in this video. I might be forgetting. Live stream amnesia is a real thing. My attention is way too split between the chats and there's a bunch of other stuff in here.
We're looking to be less bad, right? We're not looking to be more good. I think this is really important, okay?
Why won't you look to be more good? Why wouldn't that be your goal? But like actually, without lying to yourself about reality. Is that the thing? Are you lying to yourself about reality, Brittany?
So we're on the same page there. And then I will not order meat from restaurants. This includes all animals. And I know there's some controversy in the vegan community about this, whether or not like clams are sentient or certain kind of sea life is sentient. At the end of the day, like I said, I would not be surprised if they tell me plants are sentient in the next 100 years. So I'm less...
They're not going to tell you. The science is in, and plants. I was actually having this position that it could be that plants will become sentient one day or whatever the fuck. Well, definitely not sentient now, but they could evolve maybe into having sentience. And then I read the paper that completely debunked that on a fucking cellular level. Plants literally cannot be sentient. It's literally like a physical impossibility for plants to be sentient. So, no. It would be fantasyland to say that plants are sentient.
Concerned with sentience, and I'm more concerned with being less bad, okay? No dairy products, milk, cheese, but
I guess she's giving us her preference to be less bad, and she doesn't strive to be good.
Can't promise that I won't have a cake, like I said, or a cheesecake, croissant on occasion, but those aren't things I have normally. Those are very rare treats for me, so I'm not too worried about it. I won't buy butter and I won't buy eggs. Also have switched from honey, which I used to have every day, to maple syrup. So the idea is I'm going to literally take anything that's directly factory farmed and avoid it as much as...
I don't know, I was gonna make a health claim, but I don't know if I should.
Possible, if not totally, and then focus on enjoying food the way that I've been enjoying it the last 60 days.
I'm not gonna lie, her food looks fantastic. So good job on creating fantastic vegan food. Yeah, for sure. I also could be hungry again because all I ate is a sandwich in the past 9 hours.
Days of meat-free, nutritional yeast, pastas, nuts, lentils, like so many variations of
good.
Greens. And I've eaten so many good things the last 60 days.
That looks like is that a tofu? I don't think that's a tofu. That looks... Whatever it is, I would smash.
I'm not concerned with quality of food, but I am excited.
Make the health claim? No, thank you, Alpha Karos. I'm not sure in the health claim, so I'm not going to make it.
To contribute less suffering to...
You see, I don't flap my... I try to avoid, at least, to flap my lips when I'm not sure about something.
The world. And so...
It's kind of the thing that defines us humans. We consider stuff,
This vegan journey has been amazing and exciting.
Vegan journey.
And wonderful, and I'm so happy that I did it, and I really think you should do it too, just for funsies, just to see how you feel. It made me so intentional and thoughtful. I definitely want to continue being that thoughtful with my consumption. So with all of this said, what a great journey it's been. I love it. I think you should do it. I think you should try it. And I think I will continue deconstructing what it means to consume animal and animal products, and I look forward to the future.
Okay, she's on a journey, so things could improve in her reasoning, I guess. So, yeah, overall, yeah. Back to charitable VPM. Yeah, overall, I don't know, net positive came out of this video and her journey, her vegan journey. I guess it could end in veganism. Maybe vegan gays could help her end up in actual consideration of the vegan position and not whatever the straw man was. Yeah.
Sure. In which human beings as a collective work to be less bad instead of more good.
No. Why? Be more good. What's the problem with that? I don't understand this. Like, endless allowances for yourself to not do the clearly more moral thing. What? It doesn't even give you that much effort. You said you enjoyed it. You said you felt better. Although probably could be mostly placebo. I don't know.
All right.
Bianca, we're almost done.
Hey guys, I'll see you for the next one. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, like the VPM channel. Subscribe to it if you haven't already. I don't know. Do something. And Dalal, what about Dalal? Did we improve Dalal's situation? Absolutely fucking infuriating. Absolutely infuriating that we're 6 subscribers away from Dalal possibly becoming monetized, maybe, if that's what he wants to do. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for coming. I think it was, and we lived through it. See you next time.